I'm not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months, and even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm going to keep ticking. But no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone. Let's all stop what we're doing right now and take a moment. That felt good, huh? Just like that, we had a nice special sort of moment together. Of course, they don't all need to be quiet moments to be special. They could be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. Sounds like somebody agrees. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Today, call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
It's Meals on Wheels. 1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Ranger station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There is only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more.
Get a rest!
No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouths.
Yay!
Man. Can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks and Speedy Beatty.
You're not even a has-been. You're a never was. You're a never was.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? January 26th. You are listening to the Sports Loudmouth. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. Remember, you can check out our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com and check out all our shows. Our shows are live throughout the week. Obviously, you just missed The Wise Guys, which is live every single Thursday. Check them out before our show at 7 p.m. With Trey, Trey, a.k.a. Wise Man himself. You can check out all our shows throughout the week. It's great shows, and our show, which airs live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 p.m. Speedy, what's up, man?
I want to give a shout out to the family, thoughts and prayers of Jesse Lemonet, a 25-year-old linebacker that passed away. He used to play for the Detroit Lions. Cause of death not known, but very sad on that. So shout out to his family and all the Detroit Lions teammates in the community. Rest in peace, Lemonet.
So many different
I know,
athletes.
so many random deaths. It's insane.
You think it has anything to do with COVID-19?
I don't know. This cause of death is unknown right now. So I don't know.
Those shots. I mean, we've been hearing. Hollis was on yesterday.
Yeah,
he was talking
right.
about he's not going to throw anybody under the bus, and he's not going to really, throw it like he's throwing, I guess, dice or something. But I do believe there has something to do with it. But I mean, I'm not a political guy, and I'm not a medical guy, so I can't give you the answers to that. But it's a crazy, crazy story. A lot of deaths all over the country. Actors, musicians, and now athletes, all losing their lives, and very young too.
Yeah.
I mean, how old was he?
25.
25 years old. He hasn't even lived a quarter of his life. So there you go. At 9:30, we'll be talking to former Falcons, Titans, and Eagles safety and founder of Sneakerhead University, our friend Antoine Harris. He'll be joining us. Can't wait to have Antoine. We'll be going to a sneaker function this weekend at the Prudential Center. We're very excited for that, but Antoine will be joining us a little bit later in the show. At 10 o'clock, we'll be talking to former Cowboys, Broncos, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey. He'll be joining us for the first time, so we're very excited about that. A lot of crazy things happening here in New York. Rainstorms. It's cold. It's warm. It's 50 degrees today. It was 36 degrees the other day. I mean, if you want to talk about flu season, this is flu season here in New York. But we're going to get into, obviously, the Jets and their new hire, Nathaniel Hackett, as he is the new offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. What does that say about Aaron Rodgers? Do the Jets make a move in the next couple of weeks for the star quarterback from the Green Bay Packers? We will get into that. Panthers hire Frank Reich as the next head coach. So Frank Reich now has a job. And believe it or not, Frank Reich was apparently introduced as the new head coach for the Carolina Panthers. And then all of a sudden, Nathaniel Hackett was signed by the New York Jets. So I think the Jets were waiting for Frank Reich to make his decision. And as soon as he pounced on the Carolina Panthers job, the Jets hired, obviously, Nathaniel Hackett. They wanted a veteran. He was the best veteran offensive coordinator that was available. So the Jets get their guy. Dan Quinn says he is staying with the Cowboys. I wonder why. Nobody offered Dan Quinn a head coaching job. I'm very surprised about that. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. You've seen what he has done for the Cowboys throughout the last couple of years, and the transition of this defense. Yes, they have Micah Parsons and Lawrence and Van Der Esch. They're great players, but you need a good defensive coordinator to really lead this defense. And in the last 2 years, this has been one of the more dominant forces in the NFL. So Dan Quinn will be back with the Cowboys next year. How should a slumping New York Islander team approach the NHL trade deadline? I've got a couple answers to that a little bit later in the show. Scott Rolen joins Fred McGriff as the only two players to make the Baseball Hall of Fame this year. We didn't get into it yesterday. We will get into it tonight. Cam Reddish getting a lot of trade interest across the NBA. He's not playing for the New York Knicks. So, again, the Knicks will be looking to move him. I don't know what they're going to get for him, but I'm sure there's a few teams like the Lakers, the Golden State Warriors. There are teams.
Miami was one.
Miami's another team that's looking at him. So we will get into that. LeBron James says Bronny is good enough to play for any college in the country. Well, that's news to me. So we'll get into that in AFC, NFC championship game picks. So the story today first was the hiring of Frank Reich. And Frank Reich, over the last couple of years for the Indianapolis Colts, was not getting enough from the quarterback position. They brought in Carson Wentz, a guy that he was the offensive coordinator for with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles decided after the injury to Bring in Nick Foles. If you remember, he was retired. They bring him back. He wins a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. And Carson Wentz's career was practically over. He gets traded to Indianapolis. He was there for a year. I thought he put up pretty good numbers as an Indianapolis Colt. But the last 3 games of the season, his numbers just faded and the team faded. They missed out in the playoffs or missed out going to the playoffs. And there were stories coming out from the locker room that he wasn't getting along with some of the players, some of the offensive linemen. And they gave up on him and they decided to let him go. Then they decide to bring in Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was there for a whole year, lost his starting job from a third-string quarterback, gets his starting job back in the middle of a season because Jeff Saturday wasn't going to start a third-string quarterback. And this team just absolutely failed in every possible way when they brought in a guy like Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, who to me, over the last, I would say 15 years, was one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. One of the top 5, top 7 quarterbacks. He won an MVP when he was in Atlanta. But obviously his career was done. And Frank Reich really put his career on the line. He put his job on the line in in Indianapolis when he decided to go after Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan failed. And because Matt Ryan failed, Frank Reich was fired. Now, Frank Reich, to me, is one of the best and one of the more known good offensive coordinators in the NFL. If you look at his numbers as an offensive coordinator and some of the quarterbacks that he was the offensive coordinator for, they've all been successful. Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate when he was the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles before he got hurt, before he tore his MCL and ACL trying to run the ball in on the goal line. Frank Reich has been all over the place. Over the last couple of years, as a head coach for the Indianapolis Colts, it just didn't work out. Now, do I think he's going to work out in Carolina? I don't know. Right now, their starting quarterback right now is Sam Darnold. We all know all about Sam Darnold here in New York. Sam Darnold failed in New York. Now, maybe the Jets failed on him. He goes to Carolina. The Jets trade a second and a fourth for him. You know what the Jets got for him in the next year in the draft? But to me, he's going to a team that has a good offensive line, a team that played well in the second half. Sam Darnold showed a little bit of life when he took over after Baker Mayfield was let go, was put on waivers, and he went to the Rams. And this defense really, in the second half of the season, played extraordinary. They really did. They were one of the best defenses in the NFL the last 5 weeks of the NFL season. So now Frank Reich's going to a team. He's going to rebuild a team. Do I think he's going to fail there? I don't know, but he has pieces. He has some good pieces moving forward where he can obviously win with. The NFC is weak, as we all know. Him being in the AFC with all those great quarterbacks and all those great teams, he was in a very weak division, no question. Oh, yeah. With the Texans, the Jaguars before Trevor Lawrence was there. That division was horrible. And the Titans were the lead team in that division, the best team in that division because of Ryan Tannehill? No. But obviously the coaching over there, I think Mike Vrabel is a very good coach. But he goes to the NFC. It's a very weak division. It's anybody's division next year because Tom Brady's not going to be back next year. Atlanta's rebuilding. And Carolina really, and I'm not going to say anything about the Saints because I don't know what the Saints are. Is Jameis Winston starting next year? Is Hill starting? Is Hill starting? Is Andy Dalton going to be there? Are they going to make a trade for a Derek Carr or an Aaron Rodgers or a Lamar Jackson? I don't know. What I do know is that he is positioned very, very well taking that job in Carolina. And after we found out, Adam Schefter posted up that Frank Reich is going to take the job for Carolina. He posts up that the Jets announced that they're going to hire Nathaniel Hackett as their new offensive coordinator. Now, what does that say right now? What does that sell to the Jet fan right now? It probably, and I said this yesterday on the show in the beginning of my monologue, if the Jets land Nathaniel Hackett and they decide to move forward with Nathaniel Hackett, which a lot of people thought was going to take a year off, he's still getting paid. He got a lot of money last offseason taking the coaching job for the Broncos. It didn't work out over there with Russell Wilson. I thought he was not going to come back this year. I thought he was going to sit out and figure out things like Kingsbury is probably going to do, and then come back next year, maybe getting an offensive coordinator job. Maybe a head coaching job will be available that maybe another team would be interested in hiring him. But he took the Jets job. I believe there's a reason behind this hire from the New York Jets. Robert Saleh had a press conference today after announcing that Nathaniel Hackett will be the new head offensive coordinator for this organization moving forward in 2023. And there were some interesting questions by the press, pretty much saying, now that you brought Nathaniel Hackett, are you going to be looking for a quarterback in the offseason? And Robert Saleh says, we have a good quarterback in Zach Wilson. We believe in Zach Wilson, but we will definitely be out there looking for some veterans that we can bring in that would be interested in coming to play for this organization. Then somebody asked, are you looking for a quarterback that can play in the cold? Pretty much assuming that this is a foregone conclusion that Aaron Rodgers will be the next starting quarterback for the New York Jets. Now, Peter King said something very, very interesting the other day in one of his stories that he wrote after this whole Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett thing came out. And this has been going on for the last week. This isn't just yesterday that Nathaniel Hackett was the lead guy to get this job. It's been about a week. We've been hearing that the Jets loved the interview. They brought him in for a second interview. And Nathaniel Hackett was a guy that Robert Saleh really, really liked. But I also believe that this was a draw to bring Aaron Rodgers to New York. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. And there's still a couple of weeks left. There's still a Super Bowl after this week, the AFC and NFC title games. There's 2 weeks of, getting ready for the Super Bowl and then the Super Bowl. And then a week, you have about a week before you can obviously make a trade for a player. Derek Carr has to be traded 4 days after the Super Bowl, or he is either going to be in his contract or waived out of his contract. So there's a lot of decisions the Jets have to make in the next couple of weeks, because to me, the two guys that the Jets are interested in is Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers. Lamar Jackson's going to be too expensive. Yeah. Lamar Jackson's going to probably cost the Jets 2 first-round draft picks and a third and a fourth.
Plus $40 million a year.
Plus $40 million a year. Aaron Rodgers, I know everybody keeps saying that Peter King came out and said that the Green Bay Packers are looking to trade him in the AFC, not the NFC, but they're also looking for 2 first-round draft picks. I can't see any team giving the Green Bay Packers for a 39-year-old 2 first-round draft picks. I can't see it. I think the Jets will look really, really stupid. So I do believe that the Jets will offer 1 first-round draft pick, and maybe a second. And I think going into this offseason, I don't think they'll give this year's first round. I think they'll give this year's second-round draft pick. But I think it makes a lot of sense while you sit back and you understand where the Jets are at the quarterback position, how desperate they are at the quarterback position, where the Jets have to decide where the best route to go at the quarterback position. Now, right now, the Jets are not a contender. They have a lot of talent. Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall, and Elijah Vera Tucker, and all these youngsters that they have. Sauce Gardner. They have a great tandem of young players that can help them win. But right now, they don't have the one position that they've needed for the last 50 years. since Broadway Joe. And I'm not a big Broadway Joe fan. And I wasn't even alive for Broadway Joe. Bringing in Aaron Rodgers could be the same mistake when they brought in Brett Favre. And it's so interesting how these two quarterbacks that play for the same team, back up in the same path.
Yeah.
If you remember in 2007, the last season for Brett Favre, he threw 4,155 passing yards, 66.5 completion percentage, 7.8 yards per pass, 28 touchdowns, 15 interceptions with a 95.7 passing rating. That was his final year with the Green Bay Packers.
And one glorious interception to Corey Webster in the NFC Championship game.
That's right. And Aaron Rodgers, in his final game possibly with the Green Bay Packers, he had one of his worst seasons. 3,695 passing yards, 64.6% completion percentage, 6.8 yards per pass, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions with a 91.1 passing rating, which is the lowest he's had in the last 10 years. Both quarterbacks still at the top of their game. You can look at the numbers. Aaron Rodgers had nobody to throw to this year, but still almost threw 3,700 yards. When was the last time you remember a Jet throw 3,500 yards?
Probably Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. That was like 5 years ago. So Aaron Rodgers automatically would be the best quarterback the Jets have had since Ryan Fitzpatrick. So that is definitely an upgrade. The problem is, what are you going to give up for him? Now, let's look at Brett Favre's numbers his only year as a New York Jet in 2008. He threw 3,472 passing yards, 65.7 completion percentage, 6.7 yards per pass, 22 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, which led the NFL that year, an 81 passing rating, which is absolutely horrible. Now, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is going to have those numbers in his first year with the Jets if the Jets make this trade. But the Jets didn't have to give up a first-round draft pick for Brett Favre. All they had to do was practically let go of Chad Pennington, who, by the way, eventually wins the division and takes the Miami Dolphins to the playoffs. That was the same year that Tom Brady tore his ACL, that really the only year that Tom Brady missed in his, 23, 24 years playing in the NFL. Matt Castle wins 11 games that year, and the Patriots don't even make the playoffs. And the Jets, yes, the lonely Jets had an 8-3 record before they played the New England Patriots on Thursday Night Football, and when the Patriots hurt Brett Favre, hurt his shoulder, which practically ended the Jets' season.
Remember, they also beat the Titans, who were undefeated that year, too.
Mm-hmm.
That was downfall since then for Brett Favre and for that Jets team. It was a bad collapse. They were 8-3 and finished 9-7.
So why am I bringing this up? Why am I throwing you these numbers right now? Not that I don't like Aaron Rodgers, because I've loved Aaron Rodgers. Everybody that knows me, I think Aaron Rodgers is still an elite quarterback. This is a guy that a year ago was the MVP of the league. And the year before that, he was the MVP. To me, in the last 10 years, this guy has been the best quarterback in the NFL. It's not even an argument. Go look at the numbers. This guy is a fantastic quarterback. The problem is he's 39 years old, and you're putting all your eggs in a 39-year-old's basket. And you don't know if he wants to play football. You don't know how long he wants to be here. If you make the trade and you give up a first and you give up a second or you give up 2 firsts, what are you going to do if he decides after his first year he doesn't want to play in New York anymore? He doesn't want to deal with the press. He doesn't want to deal with this. He doesn't want to deal with that. Then Robert Saleh gets fired. Then Joe Douglas gets fired. Then you have to change everything up. And then you set your team back 10 years. This team has talent. For the first time in a very long time, as a Jet fan, I can honestly say the Jets have elite talent on this team. Sauce Gardner could be the best corner in the league as a rookie this year. C.J. Mosley was a Pro Bowl player, I think, this year. I think he was 3rd or 4th in the league in tackles. Quinn Williams is a first-team All-Pro player. You have players. Elijah Vera Tucker, before he got hurt, was probably an all-pro player who's one of the best guards in the league. Breece Hall, some people thought was going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Garrett Wilson probably will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. You have talent here. Now, are you going to put all your eggs in that basket for a 39-year-old quarterback who might fail? Or, in 2 years, could take your team to your crazy, wildest dreams to a Super Bowl that you haven't seen in 53, 54 years? I don't know what Woody Johnson is thinking, but obviously he wants to win now. But buying a quarterback over the years, including Brett Favre, never works. Never.
We've seen two big swings recently. Matthew Stafford with the Rams, and that won a Super Bowl, but now they're in kind of a purgatory state. And Russell Wilson with the Broncos last year, ironically coached by Nathaniel Hackett, that so far has not worked out. We'll see what they hire here. But yeah, this is definitely an interesting hire to get that. I actually think Nathaniel Hackett also did well with the 2017 Jaguars. I should give him a lot of credit for that too. Because remember, Allen Robinson was out that entire season, and Allen Hurns got hurt halfway through that season. And that was something that they had to overcome with Keelan Cole, who later became a Jet, Marquise Lee, and T.D. Westbrook were their wide receivers, and Blake Bortles was their quarterback, and they had the 11th best offense in the league, and they went to the AFC Championship game, probably should have won. They got screwed by the Miles Jack being down call in the AFC Championship game, which could have given them a touchdown, could have given them a lot more time off the clock, whatever. But that year was impressive. Then 2 MVP years with Aaron Rodgers was impressive. Now we'll see if that is what they end up getting. His first year in the system in 2019 was still good, but wasn't as good. It was the second and third years that he was the MVP. So Aaron Rodgers will have to buy into it. Hopefully he does. He seems like he's very intrigued and optimistic with the Jets' talent based on what he said on the Pat McAfee show.
You can't always believe what Aaron Rodgers says. I don't care if he was on Pat McAfee or he's on ESPN or he's on some Lady Deborah's radio show and over there in Guam, USA. It doesn't really matter who he's speaking to, because we've heard Aaron Rodgers say so many things that were completely untrue.
Aaron Rodgers would be the one to do a radio show in Guam.
You're probably right. I mean, he loves going to different places all over the world. He was in South Africa last summer, so we all know that he likes to travel and see the world. But the problem here is, do you trust Aaron Rodgers wants to be there? If he says he's willing to be traded right now to the New York Jets, does he want to play there? Does he want to deal with the press? Does he want to deal with all the accolades that he is going to have to deal with, what he doesn't have to deal with in Green Bay? In Green Bay, you're in Wisconsin. All you have to worry about is cheese and beer. Right. That's it. Mm-hmm. There's the Milwaukee Brewers, there's the Milwaukee Bucks, and there is the great Green Bay Packers. That's it. That's all you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. And also, to keep in mind, too, going back to Nathaniel Hackett, you hope that this kind of thing will lure him, because the Broncos, again, tried that last year to lure Aaron Rodgers, and they traded for Russell Wilson instead once Aaron Rodgers signed. So.
I don't think they're trying to lure Aaron Rodgers. I really don't. I think the Jets thought that Nathaniel Hackett was the best option at the offensive coordinator position. When you look at all the offensive coordinators that they interviewed, they were all kind of rookies, quarterback coaches, wide receiver coaches, assistant offensive coordinators. They didn't interview any guy besides Nathaniel Hackett and Frank Reich, guys that were offensive coordinators and successful offensive coordinators in the league. And you heard Robert Saleh at the end of the season. You heard Woody Johnson at the end of the season. They wanted to bring in a guy that has experience as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. Now, to me, Nathaniel Hackett, after Frank Reich came off the list of coaches that were available to be an offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett was the best one. Now, everybody keeps talking about Gary Kubiak. I'm sure the Jets interviewed Gary Kubiak. I'm sure they liked Gary Kubiak. I don't know if Gary Kubiak wanted to come out of retirement.
Mm-hmm. The last couple of years in Minnesota were not good either for him and for his son, too. So I don't know if that system is what you want with the Jets, too. You look at what the Vikings did this year with the different coaching staff altogether, and they were so much better offensively.
And Nathaniel Hackett likes to throw the ball. He is a West Coast offense type of coach. And I know Robert Saleh said that he doesn't care if it's West Coast. He doesn't care if it's East Coast. He doesn't care what kind of offense they're going to run. He said that he just wants an offense that's going to run fluently and it works for this team. With the talent that they have on the field, any offense can work with this team. You have the weapons. You have the guys that can make plays in the open field. And you have the running backs. And now you have Breece Hall coming back. Hopefully he's 100%. We saw it took a little while for Saquon Barkley to get healthy with the Giants. And when he did, he exploded this year, and he's going to make a lot of money. Breece Hall has an opportunity to be one of the elite running backs in the league. So Aaron Rodgers is coming to a team that's young, talented, and is hungry. And this is an organization that's been hungry for years to get into the playoffs. This is the longest drought in the NFL right now. This is the 13th year in a row the New York Jets haven't made the playoffs.
Shout out to Leaf Paluska, a new listener in the comment section. He says, Aaron Rodgers, let's go. Lyle says that Aaron Rodgers is going to have to get these season tickets up to get to the playoffs because the Jets lost a lot by missing the playoffs last year.
I don't think so. I don't think they lost a lot. And the Jets are going, if Aaron Rodgers comes to the New York Jets, the tickets are going to be shooting high up.
Well, yeah, I think that's what his point was.
Well, I don't know. You're reading it. I'm just analyzing what he said.
Yep. Ben also says Rodgers to the Jets. It seems to be pretty definitive. Ben says Rodgers is constantly talking out of his ass.
So he probably is.
He might be. Again, Aaron Rodgers says
half of the time he's high. So
yeah, the ayahuasca or whatever.
He loves that stuff. Man.
Jeff always loves to mention what he calls. But yeah, again, you're right. He definitely could be smoke screening. We've seen him do that before.
Yeah, and we don't know if the Jets are smoke screening.
Yep. But like you said, this is the most homegrown talent the Jets have had, so it's definitely enticing.
Oh, it's enticing with Garrett Wilson, and you heard all the great things that he said about Garrett Wilson on the Pat McAfee show. He loves Breece Hall. He thinks he's an elite running back. He barely played this year, and he's an elite running back, he said. So, yeah, he has the opportunity to come to a team that has elite players, game-changing players. And he had all those years with the Green Bay Packers. But I think the Green Bay Packers, they were weak in so many areas. The Jets going into next season, they might have to maybe cut Carl Lawson or cut C.J. Mosley to bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, where his contract needs to fit in to some of the cap that they have and they need to fill. And they have to obviously sign Quinn Williams. So they've got to figure out how this is going to work. Peter King said something very interesting in one of the articles he wrote the other day, saying that the Jets could spread it out these 2 years. They could spread out the contract, the $58 million cap. They could spread it out for 4 years, even if he's not on the team. Give him $15 million this coming year, and give him $32 million next year. And then even if he doesn't come back for the third or fourth year, you spread it out to $20 million to $19 million in the cap for the 2 years. Yes, it hurts their cap for those 2 years, but if it gives them a chance to win a Super Bowl, why not? When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking to our friend, former Falcons, Titans, and Eagles safety, founder of Sneakerhead University, Antoine Harris, here on the Sports Loudmouths.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, as you know. This is the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy PD. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. You can check out our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all the shows throughout the week live. We have a new show, ladies and gentlemen, Game On, every single Friday with Josh Silverberg, which airs at 7 p.m. Our show, The Sports Loudmouths, which airs every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Thursday. And great guests, great content, funny, interesting, craziness on the show, and one of the craziest guests we've had on the show before, a guy that I come to respect, a sneakerhead like yours truly. We are now talking to former Falcons, Titans, and Eagles safety, founder of Sneakerhead University, Antoine Harris. Antoine, my friend, how are you?
Not bad. How you doing, guys?
You look good, man. I like that artwork behind you. It looks good.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. It's my Zen space right here. It's my
Yeah.
Zen space.
Zen space.
My Louisville 2013 basketball championship hat. Got to represent for the college.
Oh, I like that, man. I like it. I need a cop one, man. You need to send it to me. But happy to have you on. We haven't spoken for a while, man. And I the last time we spoke, we were gonna switch. I guess we were gonna send each other numbers and talk a little bit about seeing some of your sneaker collections, and we'll get into that a little bit in just a little while. How's your business doing right now?
Honestly, man, I didn't take a break from sneakers because it's a part of my life. But as far as the business aspect, I haven't been pushing that as much as normal. I've been really spending a lot of time and putting a lot of time and energy into my family, into my kids. They're both heavy into soccer right now. This summer, went to Spain with my son for a soccer venture, and it was really cool. And this is not something I'm used to as far as soccer goes. So they haven't quite transitioned out of sneakers. I still am doing that, pretty much daily. I'm looking to make sure no sneaker that I need is coming out, but I've been spending a lot of time with the family.
Well, that's great. And family comes first, as always. And you had that nice long career as an NFL player. And now with everything in every business, you want to push it to the side. When it comes to family, you want to put family first. So before we get into some of the different things that we've been doing since we last spoken to, how are you and your family doing with the COVID-19 situation?
We are doing well. I have had COVID a couple times. The first time was worse than the second, and I beat it. And it was I'm not gonna say it was a cold. It was pretty bad, but I didn't get a lot of the things that a lot of other people got, as far as loss of taste and smell, and heart palpitations, and couldn't breathe and things like that. It didn't get that far for me at all. It was just a bad cold, more so headaches and body aches and things like that. But, being a retired NFL guy, I've had body aches pretty much since I've retired, pretty much when I played as well. The rest of my family have been pretty well as far as COVID goes. My dad had COVID. He's older, but he beat it. He's good to go. And, since then, I think it's pretty much made everybody get closer. I think the whole COVID situation has made not only everybody realize they can work from home, but that you have to get closer with family, because you just never know.
We are talking to former Falcons, Titans, and Eagles safety and founder of Sneakerhead University, Antoine Harris. Antoine, we're actually going to a nice event at the Prudential Center in New Jersey called Got Soul. These two kids that have been traveling around the country, introducing different sneaker organizations to the world. 5,000 people are going to show up. They invited us to be press release guys to interview and write a story over there. I know somebody like you that's a sneakerhead would absolutely enjoy going to an event like that and checking out all the different crazy sneakers at an event like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm in the sneaker community without quite totally being in the sneaker community. So I've caught wind of that show. I've been to multiple other shows. I think those things are really cool because it gives people who are in the sneaker community a chance to actually meet each other, and a reason to get up and congregate and just have a good time together. And like I said, to see each other face to face, because nowadays everything's on social media. Again, back to COVID situation, it's made people separate even more, just because of not only feelings about vaccinated and unvaccinated, but more so just that everybody's kind of scared to get sick. And so it's gotten a lot better now, but for the most part, people have gotten used to being by themselves and staying alone or staying away and being able to communicate via social media and whatnot. So we've kind of lost touch with the normal communication and seeing each other. And so it's good that these events are back up and running. And I don't know if I'm gonna make it to that one, but if you guys want to do anything like some sort of raffle or something, I can send y'all a shoe or two, and y'all can do a raffle to get some more eyes over to y'all's table.
Oh, you're the man.
Anything to help.
You're the man.
So, are there any other projects that you were thinking of doing? I know you said you didn't focus on it as much this year because you're spending more time with your family. But is there any other projects that you had in mind within the company, either with sneakers or with anything else?
Honestly, no. It's funny enough. I've said I've been pouring a lot into my kids, but I've spent a lot of time with my son's soccer team, and I didn't realize how much the younger generation is are really into sneakers like I am, and it kind of bridges the gap between that age as far as the kids go, and then me as my quote unquote old self. And we can have some good conversations. And I'm kind of the cool dad around here because I'm kind of a sneakerhead. So I've been kind of teaching the kids a little bit about sneakers and things like that on my son's soccer team. But outside of that, I really haven't branched off too much in this Sneakerhead University thing. I had an unfortunate issue that I don't know how deep I want to go into it with you guys, but there was a good friend of mine who I decided to give a good bit of my collection to for him to start a store, and then he basically sold the stuff and ran off with my money.
Oh my God!
I've been dealing with that over the past year.
Wow,
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's all good, man. You live and you learn. You hear these stories about former NFL guys getting done wrong by friends and things like that. And this was a guy that I went to elementary school with, middle school with, played basketball together. Like it was. It wasn't expected, but it's definitely a lesson learned.
As everybody knows, we are talking to ex-Falcons, Titans, and Eagles safety, founder of Sneakerhead University, Antoine Harris. Antoine, the Philadelphia Eagles had a sensational year. They've been one of the best teams in the NFL. Jalen Hurts became a superstar right in front of our eyes. Everybody and their mother, because the Eagles have 2 first-round draft picks going into this offseason. They thought that Jalen Hurts, if he doesn't put up the numbers this year, he will be gone, and they're going to maybe make a move for C.J. Stroud or maybe a guy like Bryce Young, one of these guys. So what are your thoughts this year of the growth of Jalen Hurts? What made him so special this year?
Well, listen, when you look at his total career so far, I mean, you could see that he has it in him. You see that he has it in him to be a champion. You see that he has the character. You see that he is I think a guy that a lot of these college kids can look at and see that he fought through adversity. He made some tough decisions, and then he still succeeded. It wasn't one of these situations where he hit some adversity and then it was a guy like, oh, what happened to him? No, this is a guy who pushed through. He fought his way to the top since he kind of got, I guess, benched before. And it just made him a beast. And he already had it in him. It just brought it out of him more. And I think that's a testament to his character and the type of guy he is. And, when you see a guy like that as a former player, you respect that. And you respect somebody who goes out there, you see their grind and how they got it, and you respect it a lot. And you can play with and for a guy like that. So I'm not surprised at all.
So the Eagles against the Giants really dominated a lot of phases of the game. And besides the quarterback play and Jalen Hurts, was there anything that impressed you about the Eagles on either side of the ball from maybe something that you weren't expecting either in that game or throughout the season?
I mean, even though I didn't play a full season with the Eagles, I was on the team. And then when you got John Gannon back over there on the defense, I mean, honestly, I feel like I just have to go with them. So nothing really surprised me. I feel like they were going to win. I felt like they were good. I just wasn't surprised. I was more impressed with the play of Jalen Hurts throughout the season.
It's so interesting when you look at the corner position and how it's grown since you played. We were just speaking about Sauce Gardner and the growth of these big corners that are just selfish but fantastic. They can go out there, they could do everything with their length, their ability to run, keep up with the players, jump as high as they can. It's fantastic. And then guys like Darius Slay, who's been in the game for such a long time, was a dominant force in Detroit, gets traded to Philadelphia's team, and then really has grown as a corner this year and become one of the elite corners again this year. Are you surprised that Darius Slay has become that elite corner that he was when he was with Detroit?
You mean Darius Slay Jr.?
Yes.
There you go. It's a pedigree. He comes from a line of, I mean, his dad was a beast. So what do you expect? You know, he's got the game early. His dad played in an era where he had to understand the game, and they were playing against ball players who really understood the game. Granted, I think a lot of guys understand the game now, but athleticism has taken over a bit more than what it did before. And I think, like I said, Darius Slay Jr. comes from a pedigree of understanding the game of football and how to play the position of corner. And so nothing really surprises me about him. It's him, Asante Samuel Jr. When you got guys like that who have fathers who have dominated the game per se, like, you know, you shouldn't be surprised at anything they do that make them successful in the game.
So an X factor for you now playing the 49ers is that the Eagles have to do well in order for them to knock off the Niners and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy because the 49ers play with a swagger that's kind of unmatched. You know, Philly usually has some sort of like billboard material or some like city motivation behind them and whatnot. And, you know, I think that they're just a good football team and they're going to play. 49ers have a different kind of swagger. And so I'm excited to see this game and what's going to happen.
We are talking to former Falcons, Titans, and Eagles safety, founder of Sneakerhead University, Antoine Harris. Antoine, you look at the game, and we've seen some of these quarterbacks, these young quarterbacks that have grown over the last couple of years. We've seen some of the veteran quarterbacks that you played against, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's, the Matt Ryans. And so slowly but surely, these guys are going to be moving out of the league. And then you have the new guys, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and these guys, and Josh Allen. Are you surprised that the quarterback position has absolutely changed in the league? Now it was at once a pocket present quarterback, you know, type of quarterback that you're looking for, a pocket present guy. And now you have a mobile quarterback that can move, throw the ball, move on the run. Are you surprised that the quarterback position is different and they're more athletic than they ever were?
No, I'm not at all. I know there's, you know, it might not be the best thing to say, but there's some sort of resistance, I feel like, in the NFL as far as trying to let the quarterbacks be more athletic. But I'm not surprised at all. I mean, because I came from an era where, you know, Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon, got a chance to thankfully play with Steve McNair, and to be able to see that in person. Also got a chance to play with Mike Vick. Like, these are guys that have pretty much changed the game, you know, and I think it's only added another weapon. Not only have these guys gotten more athletic, but these guys can sling the ball like never before. I think some of the most athletic guys that can run and make plays, you see that they can throw the ball with the best of them. You know, you get a guy like Patrick Mahomes who he can get you a first down on his feet, but the way he can sling that ball, it's unreal. It's unmatched. And then obviously my Louisville guy, Lamar Jackson, he's a beast, and I hope he gets his money. You know, we talked last time with you guys about the money and how I felt about guys holding out and whatnot. And, you know, Lamar deserves his money. As we can see, this game is dangerous. So these guys need to get paid for it. And, you know, when he's performing how he's performing, you can just give him their money, just give him his money. He'll continue to perform, and then enjoy it while it's here. That's the thing.
Yeah, you mentioned the game being very dangerous, and a very sad thing happening with DeMar Hamlin a couple of weeks ago, collapsing on the field in the Bills Monday night game against the Bengals. And a lot of it was made of with the NFL too, that these former players and even the current players don't get a lot of the benefits that a lot of the other leagues get. So what are your thoughts on that? And also what would you do to improve these players' benefits as a whole?
Hey, let's start with giving these players lifetime insurance. Being a retired guy, being a guy who's been out of the league for some years now, things on my body have gotten worse. And I didn't think I would end up like this. I didn't think that, I would um, at times have the mental state that I have. But I'm learning through conversation, through more knowledge, through more information from resources, contacting former players that it's obviously it's from football. When you play a game like that and you're making full speed car crashes literally every play. I mean, I was a special teams guy. This is when guys were holding hands in the wedge and standing in front of the kick returner. They catch the ball, I'm running down full speed. My job was not to make the tackle. You can look at my stats. I don't have a lot of tackles playing special teams, but what I did was a very valuable player on the special teams where I would come down and I would bust through 1 and 2 so somebody else can make a tackle. So I'm busting through 330-pound guys holding hands, busting through them just to make the returner go somewhere else so someone else can make the tackle. And when you do that repeatedly throughout a game, repeatedly throughout a season for multiple seasons, you're bound to have some life-changing injuries, right? And so as I'm multiple years out of the league now and things are starting to break down, I'm a candidate for a knee replacement on my left knee. And it's like, I thought I was fine. I thought this pain is just pain that I had to deal with. And I'm just used to dealing with it being an athlete, being an NFL player, being a tough guy, right? And, come to find out now, these are things that I need to correct if I want to have a decent life later on. And so I think lifetime, and it's hard saying all that to say, I have to get insurance through my wife because we don't have NFL insurance, which is unreal. Considering I played 6 years, I was a special teams guy most of my career, fighting to make the roster every year. So I had to put my body on the line. There were no time to get injured. The injuries I did have were injuries where normal people can't come back. MCL tears, PCL tears, Liz Frank fractures, serious injuries. And these things, had put me down. It wasn't like a twisted ankle or, so I think lifetime insurance will be a great thing. I think just full transparency and what they're trying to do for the retired players would be a great thing. We had a good career. They paid us well. Even me being a bottom of the roster guy, I feel like they paid me well for what I did. But I know how I feel now. If I could go back and do it again, I would have tried to find a way to get more, just because it's not as accessible as it was when I played. So yeah, lifetime insurance would be a great start. And I think a lot of guys would feel like something will be accomplished if they can get that worked out. We do have the Retired Players Association that's trying to work on that though, which is awesome.
Antoine, a lot of different players, including Odell Beckham, came out the other day, actually the last couple of weeks, but all over social media the other day, talking about grass and turf, how it's affected him over the last couple of years. A lot of wide receivers with the tears in their knees, with the rotator cuff problems that some of these guys have had when they hit the turf. It's, to me, they've said grass is so much better for your knees, your ankles, and your legs than it is to play on turf. Are you surprised that the NFL over the last couple of years have tried to transition the fields into turf instead of keeping it to grass?
Honestly, I don't know the reasoning behind that because, when I played, I feel like I liked artificial turf. Well, let me take that back. So back when I was in college, they had like the real turf, the turf that had like cement underneath, which was ridiculous. And I'm glad they got rid of that. Now, for me, being a kid from Ohio, like there's nothing like grass. And you have like an open grass, a field. It's that smell, that everything, it's amazing. I felt like when I got to college that the sports grass or whatever made me play faster. But over time, I realized that it's really not good for your knees. There's no perfect sports turf that they can make. There's nothing like that natural grass. A lot of the sports turf, it's either too long, it's too many like the black pieces in there, so it's a little too cushy, or it doesn't have enough give, and so that's how guys get hurt as well. The injuries I had, 2 of them were on the sports turf, and then 1 was in regular grass. And so, the numbers show that turf kind of heightens the injuries. So I understand maybe from the way it looks on camera, the way the maintenance maybe. I don't know. Like I don't know the details of it, but for me, there's nothing like regular grass. And if you see guys getting hurt, once your big name guys start getting hurt enough, you'll change it.
So a playoff game that you were a part of with any of the teams that you played for, what was your favorite moment in any of those playoff games?
The one playoff game that I was a part of, I was actually hurt. It was towards the end of the season. I got hurt, so I wasn't able to play. So I really don't have a good playoff moment.
Was it Atlanta when you were in Atlanta?
Yeah. So I don't really have a good playoff moment per se.
You know what? The best part of you is you're a sneakerhead like me, and we really appreciate everything, Antoine. I hope everything is going well with you and your family. I'm sorry to hear about your friend and what he did, but I want to stay in touch with you. I know I keep saying that, but I'm definitely going to stay in touch with you. I want to talk a little bit about sneakers. I just bought a couple of new Jordan 1s recently.
Oh, yeah? Which one did you get? You know?
I got the new one. I don't know exactly which one it is. I wish I had. I should have actually used it so I could show it to you.
Yeah, you should have had them with you so you could just pull them out.
I think you'll love them, and you're probably going to want to buy them. So
maybe if they're size 11, I'll probably hit you up about them.
Absolutely, I'm gonna send you a couple of pictures. Speedy has your number. I'm gonna send you a couple of pictures. But I bought I think 3 pairs of new Jordan 1s. Fantastic, and I'm looking at the Dior ones. Did you ever see the Dior ones?
No, fancy.
Oh yeah, man. But
fancy.
They're like $8,000-$9,000, man.
Yeah, no, I don't have that. I definitely don't have that one. If I get a chance to grab it for a discounted price, maybe, but I don't think I can do 8,000-9,000 for a shoe. I do have a couple shoes worth around that much, but I don't think I would pay that for a shoe.
I don't think I'd pay that for a shoe either. But I actually have a connection, which I'll give it to you when we're off air on people that actually sell legit sneakers for half price. So if it's $8,000, you probably can get it for like $3,500, $3,600.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
We'll definitely speak, man. I really appreciate your time, man. Keep up the good work. We'll be reaching out to you soon, man. We'll get you on again, my friend.
For sure. Maybe next time I'll have some shoes with me, and then I can entice you guys into becoming more sneakerheads.
I am a sneakerhead. If I showed you pictures of my sneaker collection, you probably throw up too. So
I'll probably clap. I'll probably say
but we really
man. Prayers to DeMar Hamlin and his family. And my wife saw me get hurt when I was in Philly. Actually, when I had my Liz Frank fracture, she saw me get helped off the field and then get put on the cart and taken to the locker room. And she saw me when I was going through the tunnel. And so she's like terrified anytime she sees somebody get hurt. And that was tough to watch with DeMar Hamlin. And I'm glad he's up and walking, and I'm glad he's doing all right. And like I said, prayers to him. And I think that's a win for everybody, even though people were out of the playoffs and all that, and we're worried about the Super Bowl and big things. But in real life, we all kind of realize that football is a dangerous sport. Again, these guys need to get guaranteed contracts. These guys need lifetime insurance. But I love the game. I love the league. I appreciate you guys. And like I said, shout out to DeMar Hamlin and all his people.
Antoine Harris, ladies and gentlemen, fantastic guy. As everybody knows, a sneakerhead like me, a guy that likes to collect sneakers, and had a really good NFL career, 6 years in the NFL. If you play 6 years in the NFL, an average NFL player only plays 3 years. 3 years. Antoine played 6, so that's double the amount. So as a special teams guy, so it's a fantastic. He's a fantastic guy and a great story. As everybody knows, played for the Falcons, the Titans, and the Eagles. Thank you, Antoine.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one, man.
Antoine Harris. So there you go, Speedy. We haven't spoke to Antoine for a while, and what's great about Antoine is he's straightforward. He shoots from the hip, and even the last time that we had him on a show, he tells us stories and he's straightforward. He doesn't hide behind anything that he says, and he's a sneaker guy, and that's a sad situation that he was in.
Yeah,
you have a friend you grew up since elementary school. You give him a bunch of sneakers. They open up a store, and the guy runs off with his money. It's absolutely horrendous. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. But I'm not surprised. Somebody ran off with my money in the beginning of the year. I don't want to speak on live air about it, but I lost a ton of money this year because of a mistake, and it has a lot to do with Bitcoin and the crypto world. And you can't trust anybody in Coinbase, and somebody went into my Coinbase and stole my money.
Wow.
So it's horrible. It's horrible when you trust somebody and you trust in the person because you've been friends for such a long time, or your family, and then they backstab you. It's happened to me before, not only with friendships, but family. So when it comes to money, you can't trust anybody. You can't trust anybody. But Antoine's a good guy. I have nothing but the utmost respect for him. I was happy that you got him on when you told me that he was going to come back on again. And every time we speak to Antoine, I always say, Antoine, we got to swap numbers. We got to talk. And I never get a chance to get a conversation, have a conversation with him off air. But I am going to reach out to Antoine Harris and talk a little sneakers with him.
We'll have to take some pictures of the event too.
We'll
send them
absolutely.
to him. So.
Absolutely. What I'm going to do at the event, because obviously I'm going to write a story over there, and we're going to be doing a lot of interviews with a lot of these sneakerheads. Bobby Schmurder is going to be there, the rapper from New York. He's going to be representing over there, doing a little bit of his hit songs over there, and he's like the face of New York's Got Soul event. And these guys are fantastic. Both of them reached out to me. They asked me, could we come over there and do some interviews and help out with the promotion of Got Soul here in New York. And I told them, send me press passes, bro, and I'll come out there and I'll do whatever you need me to do to promote it as best as I can. So I'm looking forward to going out there at the Prudential Center in New Jersey on Saturday at 12 o'clock and sporting my new Jordan 1s. So I'm going to wear one of my Jordan 1s. I guarantee you somebody is going to have those sneakers on. Somebody at the event. There's 5,000 people that are going to be there. 5,000 sneakerheads, Speedy. So get ready for craziness.
Yeah, that's a lot of sneakers. That's a lot of different designs, I would imagine. And I know Antoine. He went with the painting background this time. I remember the last time we had him on.
I love it.
He had that whole shelf tower thing. And all
Antoine's got soul, baby.
Yeah,
he's got soul. Yeah, he's an art guy. He's a sneakerhead. He's everything, man. And I love the guy. We've interviewed so many ex-NFL players. A lot of fantastic ones too. And Antoine always sticks out to me because the guy is he's not only personality wise, he drives you to want to speak about, all the things that he has done in his career, but just who he is as a person and his father. So Antoine Harris, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Quinn says he is going to stay with the Cowboys. And I will tell you guys this. All right. The Cowboys keeping Dan Quinn is an A+, because this defense over the last 2 years has been one of the elite defenses in the NFL. In the last, by the way, yes, Carl, Bobby Schmurder, yes, mumble rap. Yeah, but hey, guess what? Bobby Schmurder has 2 platinum hits. But nevertheless, Dan Quinn has been one of the more likable defensive coordinators in the NFL, a guy that was the defensive coordinator for Seattle's Super Bowl championship, and also took the Atlanta Falcons all the way to the Super Bowl to give up one of the biggest leads in NFL history against the New England Patriots and bomb out in Super Bowl. What was it? Super Bowl
51,
right?
28-3 lead they had late in the third quarter, and they just couldn't hold it.
But Dan Quinn has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL over the last 9 years. And he came to the Cowboys about 2.5 years ago, and a defense that really needed to be rebuilt. They added Micah Parsons, and ever since they added Micah Parsons, Lawrence has played better. This team has played really fantastic. To me, even though at the end of the season they were ranked 13th in all defensive yards, this team all season, in the first half of the season, in the first 8-9 games, was a top 2, top 3 defense.
Right.
They could get at you in so many different ways. Micah Parsons, Lawrence, Van Der Esch, these guys can do it. And they had Diggs, who is one of the more underrated corners in the NFL. So hearing that Dan Quinn is coming back next year, I think if you're a Cowboy fan, you should be excited. He did interview for some of the jobs that were available.
Yeah, Arizona was the closest to getting him, apparently. But
he interviewed last year, and I thought he was going to get a job.
The Broncos job, it seemed inevitable he was going to get.
I'm sure they wish they actually did get Dan Quinn. But, the Broncos are still looking for a coach. So I'm interested to see where the Broncos go. I heard Jim Harbaugh at one point was the lead guy to get the job. Obviously, that fell through. And it doesn't look like Sean Payton's going to take a job this offseason. He's going to wait until next offseason. But maybe the Cowboys job, if it becomes available after Mike McCarthy, they decide to part ways with Mike McCarthy. If they don't get into an NFC title game or put up the numbers that they think they should put up with as a team, the Cowboys, I think Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat going into next year. But Dan Quinn stays with the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's a good move for Dallas. I do. But to me, Dallas needs to do something offensively in the offseason.
Yeah.
They need to decide what they're doing. Ezekiel Elliott. Honestly, I would drop Zeke. I don't know how bad the cap is going to be. I don't know how bad the cap's going to be with Ezekiel on the cap.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. They're trying to get a pay cut to at least half of it, but it's going to be very hard to do that as it is.
So, and they have to decide what they're doing with Pollard. Pollard's a free agent this offseason.
And he's going to get a lot of money.
I don't know about a lot of money.
He's going to at least get double digits, though, I would say. He's probably going to get similar to Aaron Jones, I think.
You think he's going to get $12 million?
10. I think he's going to get about 10, I'm thinking.
No way.
That seems to be the market value right now.
No way. There's no way.
Before we go to break, because our second guest has arrived, Carl says 26 other teams have made a conference championship last time the Cowboys were in one. Yes, they're one of only 3 NFC teams. I mentioned the fact yesterday, Carl, that have not made an NFC championship game in the 21st century.
When we come back, we'll be talking to former Cowboys, Broncos, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey, here on the Sports Loudmouths.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share. And they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, as you know. This is the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Daryl Marks, my co-host, Speedy PD. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. And remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the country, ladies and gentlemen. Our show, The Sports Loudmouths, which airs every Wednesdays and Thursdays. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 p.m. Check out all the different interviews that we have, all the different content that we have, and fantastic personalities, as always. Speedy likes to wear his underwear on his head. I do not. So at least you have somebody that doesn't like and doesn't enjoy doing that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our second guest of the show. We are now talking to former Cowboys, Broncos, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey. Jeremy, what's up, man?
How y'all guys doing today?
We're good, man. I mean, obviously, you look better. I mean, with your production company, ex-NFL player. I mean, who's better than you, Mike?
Love the shades.
I'm just trying, man. I'm trying. It's like a $20 pair of shades from the gas station, okay?
Absolutely, man. You know what? If I actually looked as good as you with shades on a live radio show, I'd be wearing shades too, man. I mean, I'm just not that. I'm not that hip like you, man. I'm just not that hip.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm trying to keep it, rocking, as the young guys say.
How are you and your family doing with COVID-19?
Oh man, we doing great, man. We doing great. I had it twice. Survived, thank God. My wife and kids, but unfortunately, I lost my sister
I'm sorry to hear
from
that.
COVID-19. My wife also lost her best friend to COVID-19. So it's definitely it was definitely a bummer, man. That COVID was something serious.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that
Sorry
about
about
your
that.
sister, man. Nobody wishes that upon anybody. I know so many people that lost family members from COVID-19, and it's sad. It's sad, but I'm happy that you and your family are doing better, and hopefully moving on. But it's sad. May she rest in peace, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Cowboys, Broncos, Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey. Mr. Mince, how did you really decide to build a production company? Are you a movie guru? Are you a movie head? What made you decide to structure a production company after your football career?
Well, I was in the music business for a while. I actually started uh, in my earlier teens with my cousin Fat Boy, who produced Wasted for Gucci Man. And I kind of stayed in the music realm. And then when I got to the University of Florida, me and multi-platinum artist J Dash, who created WAP, we created a lot of music, and I did a lot of pre-production and writing and things of that nature. And so I had an extensive music catalog throughout my football time, and I just was like, if I could take all this music I have and this huge catalog I got, I could start writing movies and things of that nature. So I started, buying cameras and studying the business, studying the art of cinematography, and it's been great since, man.
So, what was the first project that you ended up doing? And do you have a particular favorite project of yours that you've done since you've started?
Well, my first feature film is called 13th and Pine. I just released that this year. In 2022, late 2022. And it's getting a lot of great reviews. A lot of people buying it, giving me a lot of great feedback. So it's exciting to have something like that out there, and also it has a great message behind it. Um, it really talks a lot about how important a father is in a child's life. So I also wanted to put a message out there with the things I produce.
You always like to do that. You always like to do that in music, in movies, everything that you watch, from drama to action. There's always a message from one part to the movie to the next. So you always want to find that message and ride it. So we really appreciate that. We are talking to former Cowboys, Broncos, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey. When you look at the hip hop game, and the hip hop game has been really transitioned from Biggie Smalls and Big L and Big Pun and Tupac Shakur to now you got guys like Lloyd Banks and Lil Wayne and Drake and all the different guys. What were your thoughts to the transition of the different hip hop music from the 90s to today? What do you think the transition was from then to now?
I mean, I think along the way, like it seems like the deeper we get into the technology era, is the feel of the human soul is kind of slipping away. Because if you go listen to Marvin Gaye right now, or even Journey, like anything that had that feel of that soul, it has to be regurgitated or sampled to get it back. So we have to find a different, innovative way to recreate where the state of music is, because we went from artists with completely different ideologies, sounds, spirits, to a lot of artists sounding similar. And in order to get a hit, they have to take something from back then to now. So we got some work to do, recreating a new sound and a new wave of music.
So, who are some of the artists that you were influenced by growing up, getting yourself into the music game?
Oh man, I listen to a little bit of everything, man. I was a huge Tupac fan
So was
and
I.
a huge Mos Def fan. Outkast, Goody Mob. A lot of West Coast music, Snoop and Dre, and definitely a lot of East Coast music because I was a huge fan of Wu Tang Clan. Big L. Man, you name them, man. I was just Tribe Called Quest was one of my favorite groups.
Yes.
So I've been influenced by a lot of it. Big Daddy Kane, most importantly, can't leave out Big Daddy Kane.
No.
But I remember, the organic feel that the music had, and that's why I work through film and to kind of make the music and film go hand in hand because great music makes a good movie or a great movie, as Tarantino would say, and that's why Tarantino has so many hit films because of the music he would choose to set the mood of the movie.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Cowboys, Broncos, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey. Jeremy, you were drafted by the New England Patriots, 6th round in 2006. What was it like being drafted first? And second of all, what was it like being drafted by Bill Belichick?
Oh man, it was awesome. It was a wonderful experience. It was definitely a learning curve for me as a player. I never played special teams. There's a lot of things that I didn't do, so I didn't understand the fundamentals of how to make a professional team. So I took a lot of things for granted. But had I been there with Bill, man, no telling what type of player I'd have been. Bill was a great mentor, and believe it or not, man, he cares, man. I remember my dad was recovering from drugs, and I remember coming home from New England to Atlanta, and my dad was like, "Son, I spoke with Bill Belichick about 2 hours," and I'm looking at him like, "Please," you know what I'm saying? So I get back to New England, and Bill just wanted to sit down and have a meeting with me, and we sat and spoke, and he asked me about my dad and told me they had a great conversation, a good long conversation, and that. So I learned to never underestimate anybody, my father or Bill. So that was a great teachable moment in my life to humble myself and stay focused. But Bill was awesome, man. It was like a concentration camp, and it's not for everybody. But I definitely don't question his coaching technique.
So 2007, you played with a Jaguars team that was very good, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Jack Del Rio, that defensive line, John Henderson, Marcus Stroud, probably the best defensive tackle duo that I've seen in my lifetime. So what was that whole season like? And also the 2007 playoffs. You guys beat the Steelers in the playoffs. David Garrard did that miracle fourth down run to set up the game-winning field goal. So what was that whole season like in your experience with the Jags?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing, man. It was amazing. I had actually blew my calf muscle out during training camp, so I got cut and put on practice squad, and I worked my way up during the season to get on that team, and the chemistry was amazing. Not only Big John Henderson and Marcus Stroud, you had crazy Reggie Hayward, Mike Peterson, Sammy Knight, Rasheed Mathis. It was a lot. We had a lot of talent on the defense. Most importantly, we had that swag, and I think that's what intimidated a lot of teams: our camaraderie and our love for each other, and we just didn't take no mess. We was that type of team, and thank God I got to witness it. I wish we could have took it a little farther, but it was an awesome run.
We are talking to former Cowboys, Broncos, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey. Jeremy, the game has transitioned. It's different. Obviously, that when you played, you were drafted in 2006, and now you played against quarterbacks like, some of the greats, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, and I guess you could say,
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees. Hold on. Ben
Phillip
Roethlisberger.
Rivers.
Yeah, you played some of the greatest quarterbacks of this era, and maybe some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But now you look at the quarterbacks now, the Joe Burrow or the Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. What is the difference that you remember of the quarterbacks you played in that time to the quarterbacks now that you watch on TV?
I mean, it's just a skill. I mean, football is so, you know, so huge nowadays that people are analyzing every technical aspect about it. And it's like kids are getting a jump on things at an early age. They're learning how to read coverages, and they're learning all the stuff, third, fourth, and fifth grade. So by the time they hit their junior year in high school, they can, break down defenses, and it's just the knowledge of it. It's just the evolution of it, honestly.
So in terms of the Broncos you ended up going to, you went to a Super Bowl that year. You got to play with Peyton Manning. You got to play alongside one of the best pass rushers of this era, DeMarcus Ware. So what was that whole experience like going to Denver? I know you guys did the Super Bowl, obviously, but adjusting to the altitude, what was that all like?
I mean, it was amazing. And actually that year, DeMarcus Ware was actually with Dallas.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah, that year he was, and that's when Dallas made the switch. Well, Denver didn't offer me the contract that I thought I deserved, and Dallas did, and I ended up going to Dallas, and DeMarcus ended up in Denver. But that season was special. The great thing about that season to me was not to say this in a bad way, but it was Von Miller getting hurt and then allowing me to show my talents as a player, and it kind of opened up different gates down the line. But the Broncos organization was great, playing under a coach I had played for earlier in my career. He understood me. Terrence Knight, and there's a lot of guys I knew from my class on that team, so the chemistry, it was easy to get along with them.
You look at the game now, and obviously you have 4 good teams going to the AFC and NFC title game. You watched the Cowboys get knocked out last week against the San Francisco 49ers, and Brock Purdy, who I don't think is a top quarterback, but again, he did what he needed to do to get to the NFC title game. Going into this game with the Eagles in San Francisco, what stands out between both teams, and who do you think has the advantage going into the NFC title game on Sunday?
I think this is going to be a huge toss-up because it's the high-powered quarterback versus the high-powered defense, and then you got a pretty good a delivery boy in Purdy on offense, and a seasoned instinctive Philly defense. So it's definitely gonna be but I really feel like Philly's gonna pull this one off. It's just that they've gotten so used to winning that it's just becoming a thing to them, man. So I think the Eagles gonna walk away with this one.
So there's a lot of great pass rushers in the league today. Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, TJ Watt. Is there anyone that stands out to you the most of that bunch?
Micah, man. Micah Parsons is amazing. Dude, you got to watch him. He's like Von Miller times 2. Like his balance and the strength in his hips is amazing. It's just flat out amazing. I mean, the things that guy can do on a consistent basis, it will make any left tackle or right tackle a nightmare that day. Game day, I'm telling you, that guy's special.
Oh, especially what he did on Sunday. I don't know if anybody saw what he did to the right tackle. He practically underarmed him and tossed him. You're talking about a 300-pound tackle. And Micah Parsons is like 230 pounds. He runs. He outran Tyreek Hill in a race. And he just he did a Reggie White, move and just threw him and it hit Brock Purdy. It was unbelievable. It was so special, and that shows you how special he really is. Micah Parsons is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. I think even though he didn't have the season he had in his rookie season, he's still very underrated on what he could do on the field. You could put him at the linebacker position, on the outside linebacker position, the defensive end. You can move him all over the field, and this guy could do everything. You could probably play him at corner, and he can outrun a tight end or outrun a corner. a wide receiver. So we've seen Micah Parsons do so many special things. So fantastic. He's a fantastic talent. As everybody knows, we are talking to former Cowboys, Broncos, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey. Then you look at the other game going into the AFC title game, Joe Burrow, where everybody were taking shots at the Bengals, especially with this game that could have played in Atlanta. Buffalo, if Buffalo won, they would meet Kansas City in Atlanta, but the Bengals had something to say about it, as you heard. Their coach say something, and then obviously Joe Burrow says, you might as well send those tickets back at the end of the game. Going into this game, Kansas City, Mahomes is not 100% healthy. His high ankle sprain, you know all about that high ankle sprain. You don't as a quarterback, you got to plant your back foot. It is on his back foot. And Joe Burrow, who has a lot of confidence going into this game, he is 3-0 in his last 3 games against Kansas City. He's beaten them at Arrowhead twice. So what are your thoughts going into the AFC title game, Kansas City versus the Bengals?
Honestly, I want the Bengals to win it all. But like you said, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's banged up, and Joe Burrow is hungry, and he's used to defeating you guys. So at some point in the game, it's going to be the pressure's on Kansas City because he's beat them multiple times. So he feels like he could go in there and do that at any moment. So Kansas City going to have to step it up. I mean, and you got this smoking hot team in the Bengals, man, and let's not forget they just lost last year, correct?
Yes.
So so they got something to prove, and we'll see how the cards fall with this one. But I got my money on the Bengals.
So Andy Reid, you played against it when he first got to Kansas City. You played against him a couple of years in Denver when you were there. So what was his offense, his innovative offense, like having to face a defensive lineman?
Well, his philosophy's changed over the years. Andy Reid used to be a run first guy, but with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you can kind of let him operate. And the Bengals defensive line has been doing a really good job disrupting. And I don't know. I think they're licking their chops this week for Andy Reid and whatever he's running with the quarterback, because that ankle is not going to heal no time soon.
Well, that's a high ankle sprain. Everybody knows how bad that ankle, and he couldn't even walk off the field in the second quarter. He practically limped off the field. I'm sure they gave him a couple of cortisone shots. He went back out there. The one thing I can give Patrick Mahomes credit for is he didn't quit. He went out there, he gave it his all, and he found a way to win the game no matter what happened. And he couldn't throw, he couldn't run, but he did what he can to help his team. And this week, it's going to be a little bit harder of an opponent. This team will get at you on the edges, and they put a lot of pressure inside too. So Patrick Mahomes could be running for dear life. This offensive line is going to have to protect him and make sure that he can stand and make every single throw in a safe spot so he doesn't get hurt, because you need him. If you do win this game, you still need him for the Super Bowl if you have to play San Francisco or the Eagles, 2 giant, dangerous defenses. So Patrick Mahomes has his work cut out for him. So when you look at the game, and Speedy was mentioning some of the great defensive linemen in the game, was there a particular defensive lineman that when you played, you were just like at awe watching him?
Oh, so many, man. Julius Peppers, he was just for a man to be as tall as he was, he could get as low as anybody on the field. Like, he was definitely special, a different type of athlete. And I would say my man Dwight Freeney, dude, like he was just unblockable, dude. He just went out there and did whatever he wanted to do. So, and Robert Mathis, I can name the list can go on and on. And the funny thing about it, we all learn from each other game, even though we all play the game completely differently. Me, I was more of a power rusher, but man, when I when I get a hold of the right type of tackle, I make him look bad. So, but that you just got to learn how to play to your strength. And and learn from those guys who are gifted, but it's still a skill set that they showed. Like I learned how to really rush from watching Freeney, man. He was like when he come off the ball, it was like pitching a fastball. As soon as it get to the bases, shoot, curve, that sack. It was the same thing. He made everything look the same every play, and it's an art to rushing. He definitely was a master of it.
So I want to go to the reverse. The offensive line. Who is the toughest offensive line for a team that you had to face in your career, and also the hardest team offense that you faced?
I say, man, as far as just pure technique and skill, I say Joe Thomas, man, and heart and just will. I'd say Trent, Big Trent. But between those two guys, man, it don't get too much better than that. But Joe was definitely just different. It was a game where I rocked him so hard, right, and he bent over backwards, and I tried to overpower him. This guy did a split to hold his block. Dude, like, no, he did literally, y'all. He did a full split, and I don't know how he didn't tear his groin. I don't know. Like, I was like, yo, I've never seen that before. The dude was he definitely was a wizard with his technique. So Joe had to be one of the best.
You have to look at the shape that he's in right now. It's unbelievable. I mean, that guy has been on Muscle, the magazine. I mean, that guy is built like a rock. He was like 300 pounds when he played as an offensive lineman for Cleveland, and now the guy is like 190 pounds, and he's cut to a brim. I mean, have you seen Joe Thomas?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. Go look at the pictures that they posted, his images, man. He is in unbelievable shape. That guy is a beast. He really is.
Oh,
so if you're telling me
that
he's
makes
doing
me
splits
jealous.
at 300 pounds, I mean, go look at what he looks like now. I mean, the guy is cut. He's in unbelievable shape. He's almost 40 years old, and the guy's in a tremendous amount of shape. I'm telling you, he's in better shape than 20-year-olds. That's the shape that he's in. So it's unbelievable. It really is. And you telling us a story that he was doing a split, I'm not surprised the athletic ability that guy has. I'm not surprised whatsoever. Like I said, we are talking to former Cowboys, Broncos, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey. Last question for me. You have been on the field. You were on the field for quite a couple of years. What quarterback, just when you stepped on the field, you were just absolutely like, I got to play him today? I mean, what quarterback just scared you every time you stepped on the field?
None really. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. It's up to us to pump the fear in the quarterback. But I would say the guy you knew was gonna bring it. You was gonna have to come and play a perfect game to beat was Tom Brady. He just was the ultimate competitor, man. Like the ultimate competitor, and I made sure I sacked him every chance I got. So, and I got him.
How many
I got
times
him a
did you
few
sack him?
times, but a few times. I'll probably sack Brady. Let's see, Jacksonville. 1, 2, maybe 4 times.
Wow. All right. Okay. You've had, in your career, you had 26 sacks. So 4 out of your 26 was Tom Brady. That's not bad, man. That's not bad
Yeah,
at all.
man. You forget that I had resentment towards New England for cutting me as a rookie. So, so that was a different type of motivation for that game every time.
I love it.
So my last question, I know before I mentioned that, shout out to your family. I know you said you couldn't come on last week because you had a family emergency. So wishing them all the best.
Oh, absolutely.
But also,
Thank you, guys.
This year we had a very tragic loss as well. A guy that you played with in your career when you were with Jacksonville. A guy we had on the show 3 months ago, Uche Waneri, passing away very sadly. 38
Good guy
years
too.
old. Fantastic guy. He was getting into his video games, his YouTube, and was a great guy on and off the field. So, what was he like as a teammate on and off the field?
Dude, Uche was fun, man. Uche was a good dude, man. He was one of my main guys. I would hang out with him. And Vince Manawai, he's passed away as well. So. Wow, that just brought back memories. But Ooch was he was a light in the room. Ooch was Ooch, man. Like Ooch loved to party. Ooch loved to play pool. Ooch loved to have fun. He was just a up tempo, upbeat type of guy.
Well,
good man too. Very smart, intelligent brother.
Yeah, well, you're an intelligent guy. You have your production company. Keep up the good work. Oh, we definitely want to get you on again. You have some soul. You have your glasses on. You're rocking it, man. So keep up the good work, man. We really appreciate all the time. And watch the Super Bowl, watch the AFC and NFC title game, because I might have to hit you up on social media and see where your picks really went. You got the Bengals, and you got Philadelphia, right? Is that who you have? All right.
Yep.
So, by the way, I'm just letting you know we might have the same picks going into the Super Bowl.
All right.
That could be a real fun Super Bowl. Yeah, Joe Burrow versus Jalen Hurts, and those defenses. That'll be fun. That will really be fun.
Don't worry, Jeremy. I'm with you. I'm rooting for the Bengals too. If that ends up happening against the Eagles, I know you play for the Cowboys, so I know you can't stand the Eagles.
Who wants to see?
I'm a Giants fan, so I can't stand the Eagles.
Who wants to see Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl again? I don't want to see that again.
I don't.
I'm tired of it.
I don't.
I'm
Yeah,
tired.
I don't.
I'm tired. Even though Joe Burrow's going to, if he goes to back-to-back Super Bowls, let him win a Super Bowl, and then we don't have to see the Bengals in the Super Bowl anymore either.
Right, for the next 15 years.
There you go. Well, the last time they won, I don't remember the last time they won.
The Bengals never won in their franchise history.
That's why I said it.
They lost twice to the 49ers, and they lost last year.
I remember before last year, the last time they were in a Super Bowl was in the 90s?
1988.
I'm sorry. It was Boomer Esiason.
Yep.
And I remember that game, too. I was a kid, too. I was like 7 years old or 6 years old. So were you. So are you. So it was a long time, but keep up the good work, my friend, and we'll get you on very, very soon.
All right, man. Thank y'all for having me, man. I enjoyed it.
Well, again, rest in peace to your sister. And again, to anybody that's last week that you can come on, hopefully everything's going good with your family now.
Yeah, man. We back on track.
There you go. We were just talking to ex-Cowboys, Broncos, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Production, Jeremy Mincey. Fantastic guy.
Yes.
He is. Nice guy. He's got some nice shades. Look at him.
I love the shades.
I mean, I'm a shades guy too. We were just talking to a sneakerhead, Antoine Harris, who is a big sneaker guy, and now we're talking to a guy that has some nice shades. I'm a shades guy too, so I like the Gucci shades. Come on, man. I mean, Jeremy knows how to, strunt it, but so do I. So there we go. I mean, I wouldn't look good on a radio show, when people are watching me with shades on. I think people would be like, I can't see your eyes. I don't know if you're even speaking to me. Are you talking to a wall or you're talking to your computer? What are you doing? So, but fantastic guy. And again, I would love to get him on the show again. And I would love to see where he's going with his production company too. As he
Jeremy, maybe next time we have you on the show, Errol will wear shades on air for you.
All right.
You know what?
I don't need them, but
hey, look at that. You look different without your shades, man. You look different, but fantastic guy. He really is. So, what a day, man. It's been crazy. I actually today I had this paper cut and it couldn't stop bleeding. And I don't know if anybody's ever had a paper cut. I'm sure many different people have had paper cuts. And a couple of weeks ago, I was stapling something and I stapled a staple in my finger. And it actually went so deep, it went to the bone, and I was trying to pull it out with tweezers. And I didn't need to go to the hospital because I'm not one of those guys that go to the hospital, but I was trying to pick it. And I don't know if anybody's had like a metal splinter. So I cut the end of the staple to try to pull it out. So I had leverage to pull it out. That was the worst pain I have been in. And I've been stabbed by a knife before in my hand and stuff like that. Having a staple that was practically in your bone and trying to tweeze it out is the worst feeling in the world. Speedy, have you ever had
I've never had that. I've definitely had plenty of splinters. Not a metal one though. I've had wood splinters though.
Well, we do know that. I mean, you do like to invite your dog into your room and do crazy things, right?
No, that was by accident.
How did I again on this show? I don't want to go too deep into it.
No,
guys.
Jeremy does not need to hear that part.
I don't think he wants to hear that part.
No, I don't think you would either, Jeremy. Don't worry.
But it doesn't make any sense. How does your dog open up your door? I don't understand that.
It's the one room he's trained into because my brother
So
Aiden's
you
younger
trained
room.
your dog?
No, not me.
So who trained your dog to open up?
He did it inadvertently because that's where he sleeps. So
So he has the power of using his
he used his
paw.
head.
He uses his head to open up a door.
Yeah, because there's no lock on it. It's
Jeremy, I don't want to tell you what his dog did to him. I don't want to tell you what his dog did to him, but it is one of the most unique, weird stories you'll ever hear. So I won't do it. I don't want to throw him under the bus to an ex-NFL player, but I'm sure you'd be on the floor laughing if you knew what his dog did to him. So anyway,
I can only imagine.
Well, trust me, you don't want to imagine.
You know what? Don't let him. Don't let him try to manipulate you there.
Maybe Speedy should add a little bit of peanut butter.
No.
Oh man, Speedy, you are one unique individual. Oh man. Huh. All right. All right, let's get back into the show before I fall over. Anyways, Lou Lamoriello and the New York Islanders are in a significant amount of trouble. And I know you sit here today and a lot of people think when your team isn't playing well and the trade deadlines are right around the corner, you have the All-Star break coming up in about a week in Florida, and the Islanders are going to have to make a decision. They're going to have to make a decision. Are they buyers or are they sellers? And right now, the Islanders' game has just been absolutely horrendous. Right now, the Islanders are 3 for the last 59 on the power play. They're 5.8% on the power play. It's absolutely horrendous. Worst streak in NHL history. The Maple Leafs, 51 in a row during the original 6 era. The Panthers, 43 in 2014. The Sharks, 41 in a row in 1997. This is how bad the Islanders have been this year. The Islanders are the third worst overall power play in the league right now with a 16.1%. Only the Blue Jackets and the Canadiens are worse. The Blue Jackets and the Canadiens, the two worst teams right now in the NHL. The Islanders they only have 23 power play goals total this season. The NHL record for the least in 82 games in a season in 1997 and 1998 by the Tampa Bay Lightning, who only scored 33 and had a percentage of 9.3% in the league. Okay? The Islanders are one of 11 teams in the NHL this season that do not have a 20 goal scorer yet. You have guys like Matthew Barzal and even Brock Nelson right now has, I think, 18 goals. Well, he must have scored 2 goals the other day because they don't have a 20 goal scorer. And this is a huge problem for Lou Lamoriello. And I know a couple of months ago I mentioned Malkin and a guy that if, in the offseason, when he became a free agent, that I thought that Malkin would be a nice pickup for the New York Islanders. And I want to go back to what I said, okay? Because he is not a Lou Lamoriello guy. He's not a gritty guy. He's not a Zach Parise, a Jason Arnott type of guy. If you remember Patrick Elias, and Patrick Elias was a guy that Lou Lamoriello drafted years and years ago, a guy that could score goals, play defense. He was a two-way player. Lou Lamoriello likes those two-way players. And Lou, the answers Lou gave you the other day, there's no excuse because that's on me, totally on me, Lou Lamoriello said the other day. That's my responsibility to make us the best we possibly can, to make whatever changes we can. It's not the coaching staff. It's not the players. And I take full responsibility on in the situation we are in today. When you hear that from Lou Lamoriello, you had a chance in the offseason to bring in players, bring in offensive players. There were 3 quality offensive players that were available in the offseason, and you struck out on all 3 of them. All 3 of them. And if you're an Islander fan, I don't want to hear the Islander excuses. I am an Islander fan. The Islanders should absolutely be sellers right now. Absolutely be sellers. Right now, they are, I think, $9.5 million under the cap. I think it's $9 million. If they go into the offseason next year, they trade off Brock Nelson or a guy that a lot of teams would want. He can win faceoffs. He's very good, offensively. He's a good defensive center. He can win faceoffs. He's that type of guy. You could trade him. He has a high value right now. High value. Varlamov, a backup goaltender right now for the New York Islanders behind Sorokin. He is now finally healthy. A goaltender that a lot of teams like the Edmonton Oilers could use, or the Nashville Predators could use. Seattle could use. Varlamov could be a great backup goaltender for one of those playoff teams right now. I don't know what you can get for him. Maybe you get a second-round draft pick. Maybe you get a conditional pick for him, but you can get rid of it. And yes, maybe if you want to bring him back in the offseason next year, you get him for cheaper if he wants to come back. He's already said he'd take less money to stay with the Islanders. There are a ton of players right now. J.C. Pajot. He's a guy that they traded a first round and a second round draft pick. 3 years ago? Mm-hmm. Lou Lamoriello hasn't had a first round draft pick in 2 years. 2 years. And right now, the Islanders farm system is crap. Offensively, crap. They have Ratty. He's a good player. They have some decent defensemen in their farm system, in the KHL, in the OHL. They have some good young defensemen, but they're at least 3-4 years away. And you can't trade away prospects. You can't. They're too valuable. Especially when you haven't had a first-round draft pick in almost 2 or 3 years. The last time I believe Lou Lamoriello had a first-round draft pick was at the draft I was at in Dallas.
They had the two. Yep.
When they had Wahlstrom and Dobson. And both guys are right now up with the Islanders. Dobson, I think, is having a fantastic offensive season, not so much defensively. And Wahlstrom has been, right now, so far, has been a bust. He hasn't been the player. I know he's young. He's 23 years old. He's still a little wet behind the ears. I think he's 23. It might be 22. A little wet behind the ears, but offensively, that everybody thought this guy was going to be a 30-goal scorer, just like Lafreniere with the New York Rangers when he was drafted at number 1. Yeah. He's been really he's playing like a bust. But you look at the Islanders right now. Since Adam Pelech's injury, in the last 20 games he has missed, the Islanders have been outscored 63-52 and have allowed an average of 30.7 shots per game and have allowed 10 power play goals. You're talking about one player not in the lineup. And because he's not in the lineup, the defense is not playing at a full capacity. You have Pulak, and you have all these defensemen, and everybody going into the season had the Islanders still one of the more talented defensive teams in the NHL. Even without a great coach that they decided to fire in the offseason. I mean, if you really sit here today and you look at the Islanders and you try to figure out where this team is and what this team is all about, I don't know what they are. Offensively, defensively, we know what their goaltender is. Their goaltender finally earned a chance to play in an All-Star game. Who cares? It doesn't mean anything. But Sorokin has been standing on his damn head, getting 40 shots. He has a 2.36 goals against average and a 0.925 or whatever the hell is the save percentage. He's doing everything he can to keep his team in the game, and they can't do anything in front of him. Nothing. It's an embarrassment. And Lou Lamoriello, there is no excuses right now. Maybe the game has passed him. I don't know. But there is no excuses. I've heard the Islanders are interested in Timo Meier. They're interested in Patrick Kane. They're interested in Bo Horvat. They could be interested all they want. How are they going to bring these guys in? And do they fit with this team? So far, what we've seen with Lambert, he knows he plays a little defense, he plays a little offense. He wants to open up the ice. Since he's tried to open up the ice in the last couple of weeks, the team hasn't scored. This is one of the worst goal-scoring teams in the NHL. These numbers are horrendous.
Especially on the power play. 3 for 59. That is 5% on the power play. The lowest single season total that was the shortened season was the Anaheim Ducks, which was about 9%. And the Islanders have done pretty much half of a season on 5%. Is just insane. And they're at 16% right now for the whole year, which is not great. I think, like you said, third worst in the NHL right now. And the other two teams, the Blue Jackets are the worst team in the Eastern Conference, and Montreal just lost their best player for the season, Caulfield. And they're not going anywhere either with Martin St. Louis. So, yeah, the Islanders do not want to put themselves in the same boat with those teams.
And here's another thing, and this is another interesting statistic. The Islanders are the oldest team in terms of average age by over a full year, 29.36 years old. Next oldest team is the Stars with an average of the age 27.97. That means the Islanders are the oldest team in the NHL right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're the oldest team in the NHL. They have some good young players. You have teams like the Rangers, one of the younger teams, one of the top 3 younger teams in the NHL. You're going into next year with the oldest roster in hockey and an overpaid roster. You have guys making too much money. Why is Bailey making $5.5 million? Why is he making $5.5 million? I think the deals that they gave to Pulock and Pelech were good at the time.
Yeah.
Now, is it really good? Pulock has not been a very good defenseman over the past year. Pelech is a great defenseman, but he hasn't been healthy the last year and a half. He's been fighting injury. He went to his first All-Star game last year. First All-Star game. That was the first time I remember Adam Pelech before the All-Star break, that he was 100% healthy. This is a team that just needs to figure out what their identity is. And we all know what Lou Lamoriello is looking for. He wants the gritty. He wants the guy that's going to go out there and not complain about how many shots he has, how many block shots he has to make. He goes out there and plays like a team player. He doesn't want a me player. He doesn't want a Sidney Crosby or Ovechkin or one of these guys or a McDavid. He wants a team player. He's going, and Barzal has been a team player. He really has. For a guy that has the ability that he has, and he could skate, he could shoot, he could do everything. He's taken 2 steps back offensively ever since Lou Lamoriello's come to this team. Barry Trotz is a defensive-minded coach. Lou decided to fire Barry Trotz, bring in his disciple in Lambert. And I think I thought Lambert was a good coach. But right now, in the position that the Islanders are in, maybe he isn't.
Mm-hmm. And it's tricky for somebody like Barzal, too, that has to rely a lot on his individual skills to be able to get that kind of coaching with a guy that's still a defensive style coach and that team that's really built as a defensive team. Even a lot of the forwards they do have, too. A lot of them are, like you said, older. They're more grittier defensively, but aren't really the speed types to help complement with Barzal. And that's why all the rumors were swirling about guys like Tarasenko. Now, recently, guys like Timo Meier. Philip Forsberg was a big one in the offseason. They wanted to get somebody to go with that. And the young players, maybe they'll get there. But again, the Islanders really don't have a lot of time to be able to just develop them. Like, you look at the Rangers, they sent the letter to the fans in 2017 saying, we're going to rebuild. They let the young players develop. Now, they haven't developed fully. Capocaco's kind of underwhelmed. Lafreniere's underwhelmed. Fine. But they're developing where they have a role. The Islanders' young players, they haven't gotten that kind of thing yet because of that. And they're kind of forcing their hand on a lot of these older players. Like you said, Bailey, $5 million, doing practically nothing this year. And Beauvillier streaky year to year. Brock Nelson's good for what he is, but he's a very streaky scorer. And that kind of identity just really doesn't work anymore. And you look at the rest of this division, the Devils, the youngest team in the league right now, 24.71 average age. The Rangers, like you said, the 8th youngest team in the league right now. Carolina's pretty young as well. And the Islanders, really old right now, and they're going to have a lot of cap issues. They only have $3 million right now. They'll have $10 million in the offseason, so we'll see what they do.
I thought they had $9 million. They have $3 million. And listen, the trade for Alexander Romanov, he has been a real shining defenseman for them. He really has. Alexander Romanov has been very, very good for the Islanders. Anders Lee, he's a one-dimensional player. He is a one-dimensional player. He's like a Dino Ciccarelli. He's going to stand in front of the net. He's going to try to tip the puck in. He's going to use his size and his ability. He is not worth $8.5–9 million. He is making as much as Matthew Barzal is, and he is the most talented player, the most skilled player on this team. It's unbelievable. And then you have guys that are getting overpaid right now. Overpaid, not worth the money that they have invested in these guys.
We've seen the system of the way a lot of these teams have built that have done well in the playoffs recently too. Now the Islanders did have some playoff success the last couple of years with Barry Trotz. I'm not saying that the Islanders don't have a good playoff identity if they make it, but the way that the team's built is usually based on the center depth first and the good goaltending, and they'll fill in all the rest later, the grit guys later. It seems like the Islanders paid a lot of those like size guys, those grit guys that are going to get those tough goals like Anders Lee, like you were saying, and they haven't really been able to get that other guy as a result. And they've had every chance to do it. For the last 2 years, we've been talking about which winger should the Islanders trade for, and it just hasn't come to fruition because of it.
2 years ago, they traded for Kyle Palmieri.
Right.
They traded for Kyle Palmieri. We all know Lou Lamoriello won GM of the year. He won back-to-back GMs of the year for the Pajot trade, which obviously has smacked the Islanders back in the face because they gave up a first and a second. And then Kyle Palmieri, which they gave a significant amount back for Kyle Palmieri. Kyle Palmieri in the playoffs last year was not good. Kyle Palmieri in the regular season was not good. This year, Kyle Palmieri has how many goals? What has he done this year as a player that's making $5.5 million? I don't know. He's played in 23 games. He has 6 goals and 5 assists. And his plus minus is -1. I'm sorry. You cannot win. And you're paying these guys $5.5 million. There are players right now in the league that are way better than Kyle Palmieri. I've looked through some of these rosters in the NHL. Some of these rosters in the NHL, there are guys that have 20 goals, 18 goals right now that are making the same amount of money as Kyle Palmieri. The Islanders, when they brought him in, when the Islanders decided to re-sign him, when Lou Lamoriello decided to re-sign Kyle Palmieri, if you remember, they believed that Kyle Palmieri was a 25-30 goal scorer on this team. 25-30 goal scorer. He will never score 25-30 goals with this New York Islander team. There's too many offensive deficiencies in this team. They don't have a playmaker besides Matthew Barzal. Matthew Barzal can't play in every single shift. And that's why he's a facilitator. I want to see what Matthew Barzal could be when he's not the facilitator, when there's another speed demon on his line, like a Timo Meyer or somebody like that, a Bo Horvat, a talented player that can put the puck in the net and actually pass the puck. Barzal has never played with a super talent like any of those players. And for the last 2 years, Lou Lamoriello has been trying to bring in free agents, top-end free agents to play with Matthew Barzal, and he has struck out.
And it just goes to the philosophy. They're trying to bring in a lot of these size skill guys that, again, works for a smaller sample. We've seen Washington win a cup that way. There are certain teams. St. Louis was more like that too when they won, but they still had those guys too, guys that could create. And Barzal really hasn't had the chance to create because of that. He's really had to space his own ice and then really throw it in front of the net, make a move himself, or try to pass it to the point and have their defenseman score, have a winger score in a very simple shot. And they haven't been able to take their offense to the level that they need to in today's game. You look at Tampa, the 2 cups they've had, and yes, their defense is very good too, but they're based on a system that works for them to pass the puck and move the puck because they have guys that can space the ice very well, and all young guys, a lot of young guys. Yeah, they have the Pat Maroons and the veteran guys they brought into the trade deadline, but those are trade deadline acquisitions. I thought the main core of the team is Stamkos, Kucherov, Kaloran, those guys. Same kind of thing with Colorado too this year. Main guys are speed guys. The Islanders don't have that right now. They're trusting a lot of older guys.
I think when you look at guys like TJ Oshie, he's a Lou Lamoriello guy. He's a guy that can play two-way hockey. He could put the puck in the net. He could play defense. And he's also a Barry Trotz guy. He played under Barry Trotz. You need guys like that. Those are the type of guys that they need to look for. They don't need a finesse guy. Now, Timo Meyer, he would be a perfect fit for the Islanders. He's rough. He can hit. He can put the puck in the net. But what is he going to cost? What is he going to cost? What are you willing to give up? Are you going to give up another first round draft pick? Are you going to give Roddy out? Your second round draft pick from a year and a half ago? You can't give away talent. You can't give away skilled players that you don't have in your farm system.
especially with not a sense of direction for this year too. The Islanders right now are a borderline team, and that makes it hard to be able to make that kind of big swing. If you could get it for a discounted price later, we've seen Lou Lamoriello be GM of the year by getting good value.
You're not going to get Timo Meier for cheap. He is a free agent at the end of the year. I would wait until free agency. I would be a seller. The Islanders are not making the playoffs. There are too many good teams in the Metropolitan Division. There's too many good teams in the East. You have the Bruins kicking ass over there. You have the Lightning starting to pick up their game. Everybody, the Toronto is a really good team. There is no way. Even Buffalo's starting to win. So how do they expect to make the playoffs the way they're playing? They can't put the puck in the net. They're averaging, 2.5 goals a game in the last, 4 weeks? They can't score. And if you can't score in the NHL, no matter how good defensively you are, which they're not right now, and how good your goaltender is, which he's super good, it doesn't matter. You're not going to win games. You're not going to win games.
And Buffalo's a perfect example of that. Buffalo has risen to this point because they have speed, because they have so much good skill across the ice. Yes, Tage Thompson has 30-something goals. He's not the only guy there. They have Jeff Skinner. They have a defenseman, Rasmus Dahlin, that skates really well. And these guys space the ice. If they had any level of consistently good goaltending, they'd be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference right now, or top 4 team in the Eastern Conference right now, because they have that modern identity. Yeah, they need a little more great guys later down the road, but they could trade for that. They have so many pieces. They could do that. The Islanders, they're running out of it because they're very cash strapped as it is in these veteran guys. So they're going to have to hope they could trade off the veteran guys. I agree. I would probably be a seller at this point unless you can get some kind of bargain, which Lou Lamoriello says he still explore, but they can't trade first-round picks and shoot for one player like they've done in previous years.
Major League news, Scott Rolen and Fred McGriff. Finally, Fred McGriff is he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Only two guys are going to be inducted. Fred McGriff, obviously off the ballot. I think it was he got voted in by
the senior citizen.
Senior citizen, which they do now. The MLB will do every single 5 years. They'll have a senior citizen vote where maybe one guy that is off the ballot maybe I'll have a chance to get back on the ballot. So Scott Rolen received 76.3% of the votes to get into the Hall of Fame after getting 63.2% last year, highest percentage among players that didn't get voted in 2022. Becomes the 18th third baseman to make the Baseball Hall of Fame. Other players that were short this year was Todd Helton with 72.2%, Billy Wagner 68.1%, Andrew Jones 58.1%. I don't understand that. And Gary Sheffield 55%. The reason why Gary Sheffield is not in the Hall of Fame because he was a steroid user. Right. And Jeff Kent missed on the 10th and final year, finishing over 46.5% of the vote, which is unbelievable. This guy is one of the greatest second basemen to ever play in the game. The White Sox pitcher, Mike Clevenger, being investigated right now for domestic violence. MLB investigating Clevenger for abuse of 24-year-old Olivia Finstead and child abuse charges for 10-month-year-old daughter. Statements from The Athletic, according to Finstead, she has detailed to those investigations incidents and physical and verbal and emotional abuse, including an incident from the last June in which Finstead and Clevenger choked her. And another about 2 weeks later when she said Clevenger slapped her in a hotel room when the team was playing the Dodgers and used chewing tobacco on their child. A source familiar to the MLB investigation process confirms there is an open investigation on Clevenger. The source added that the White Sox became aware of the allegations after he was signed. So very interesting story. Speedy, you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, they're comparing it right now with the whole Trevor Bauer situation. I think that's 10 times worse.
You think this is 10 times worse?
You're doing it to a kid, too. Like, that's really bad. Like, we saw a pitcher, I forget his name offhand. It was an Oregon State pitcher. Jeff was talking about a couple of years ago on our show in college baseball. That was one of the top prospects, too, that had child molestation charges, too, where he did gross things to a 9-year-old. And this is even worse, a 10-month-old child. And you're doing that. Plus, again, what Olivia Feinstein was saying as well, this could definitely be worse. You look at Trevor Bauer, the indefinite suspension he got, and now it got reduced. It was 324 games. Now it's down to 194, but he can only get a veteran's minimum. I think this is going to be a lot worse because you even said it too. Like there was a lot of instances where they didn't know what completely happened with Trevor Bauer. This seems a little more clear that he did a lot more than just the one thing.
I'll sit here today and listen, Trevor Bauer should not play another Major League Baseball game in his career.
Agreed.
He should never play again. And I don't know if obviously he was accused of something that obviously in court was pushed out of court. He was, it was waived because none of the stories that were obviously said was believed to be true. But nevertheless, he did admit to doing those things to the woman. Even though she allowed him to do it, he should have never did that. You look at this story, and Clevenger is a good pitcher. We all know what he's done. He's been a journeyman in the major leagues. He's pitched for Cleveland. He's pitched all over the place, and he's been a pretty successful pitcher. The problem with Clevenger and this story is, if this story is true, he's abusing a child. Child abuse is just as bad as domestic violence and women abuse, but abusing a child, a young child, 10-month-old child that can't protect themselves is disgusting. It's despicable. And if this story becomes a true story and the investigation finds that he is obviously accused of this and it's true, he not only should he be suspended, he should never play another baseball game in his career.
Yep. Completely agree. This should be in a suspension that's indefinite and should stay indefinite. I don't think any team should ever take that chance of signing him again.
By the way, Snug says they are going to make an example of Clevenger. Yeah, just like they did with Trevor Bauer.
Right.
Trevor Bauer is never probably going to play another baseball game again. Now, we could be wrong because there might be a crazy team out there like the Cleveland Indians who actually had him on the team that might say, you know what, Terry Francona might take that chance with him.
Cleveland had both guys on their team at one point.
Yeah, so maybe he takes that chance. Maybe they were best friends. I don't know.
Maybe.
But you look at this story, it's a disgusting story. It really is. But congratulations. And I will say this. Congratulations to Scott Rolen, who is a great third baseman. If you look at his numbers, 316 home runs, career 281 hitter, over 1,211 runs, over 1,200 RBIs, even for a guy who really is not a base stealer, 118 stolen bases, his on-base percentage 364, slugging 490, on OPS is 855. I mean, when you look at the guys that were available to go into the Hall of Fame, I would say Rolen was probably the least talented, I would say. I mean, when you look at Gary Sheffield was a better player than Scott Rolen, in my eyes. Gary Sheffield hit close to 500 home runs. He did hit 500 home runs, but he did steroids. Andrew Jones, I have no idea. He was never accused of doing steroids. Never accused of doing steroids. This guy was one of the best center fielders in Major League history. I mean, this guy was a shutdown center fielder and a power hitter. He can hit. He can hit all over the field. He was dominant. If you look at Andrew Jones's numbers, there's not many players, not many center fielders in history that did and had the numbers Andrew Jones had. So why he's only getting 58.1% of the votes makes absolutely no sense. Billy Wagner is one in a time of 10 years was probably a top 3, top 4 relief pitcher in baseball. And you look at his numbers. How many pitchers had better numbers than him? Mariano Rivera? I mean, for a 10-year span. How is Billy Wagner? He was dominant in Philadelphia. Dominant.
One of the best lefty relievers of all time.
And this guy only got 68% of the votes. He will get into the Hall of Fame next year. Todd Helton was a great first baseman, but he played in Colorado. And we have seen players really grow and become dominant forces in Colorado, and then they go somewhere else. Todd Helton, remember, at the end of his career, he left Colorado. He wasn't the same player.
Right.
Now, do I think Todd Helton will get in? Yeah, he's got 72.2% of the votes. So next year he will get in. But this is not the best crop of, Hall of Famers that we have seen over the last couple of years. Derek Jeter, last year, went into the Hall of Fame, one of the greatest shortstops to ever play a game. You know, I'm not a big fan of his, but
Yes.
he's still one of the greatest players of this era. So this crop of players, and I'm not taking shots at Scott Rolen. Okay, I think Scott Rolen was a great third baseman, but they had to induct somebody into the Hall of Fame, and they did. They did with him. Why isn't Kurt Schilling in the Hall of Fame?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that. All of a sudden, Kurt Schilling is off the ballot. I guess he was on the ballot too long.
His eligibility was up last year, and obviously the comments he made towards the Hall of Fame didn't help either.
Well, would you be happy?
No, I'm not saying he's not justified in that, because we've seen guys that are much more scandalous guys get in the past too. So why?
Honestly, and Roy Halladay was a great pitcher. Who would you rather have pitch in a big game, Roy Halladay or Kurt Schilling?
Kurt Schilling.
So, and Roy Halladay is a Hall of Famer, and may he rest in peace. He was a fantastic player. He was the dominant force in Toronto. Everybody remembers him. He was fantastic. Okay. And when he went to Philadelphia, he was great. He had a couple of no-hitters. Fantastic. Kurt Schilling, I hated Kurt Schilling because every time he played the New York Yankees, if he wasn't with the Diamondbacks, which he beat the Yankees on the Diamondbacks, and then he beat the Yankees when he was on the Boston Red Sox. Everybody knows the bloody sock game and how dominant he was. I hated Kurt Schilling. Absolutely hated Kurt Schilling. And as much as I hated him, I always wanted Kurt Schilling to play on my team. How is Kurt Schilling not in the Hall of Fame? I can name a bunch of players in the past that should be in the Hall of Fame. And because they weren't very nice to the press, they weren't very nice to the writers, they're not in the Hall of Fame. So what do you have to do? You got to get on your knees and kiss their ass?
Pretty much at this point. It's just so hypocritical though, because it's a sport that's been filled with scandals and filled with controversy. Even going back to the 1918 Black Sox, the movie 8 Men Out. And a lot of those guys are in the Hall of Fame, no problem. But somebody like Kurt Schilling, that he's had some choice words. Yeah, he's said some bad things, but again, he's one of the best postseason pitchers of all time. It makes no sense. Snug also says, didn't Halladay throw a no-hitter in the playoffs? He threw a perfect game in the playoffs.
Perfect game in the playoffs. And Kurt Schilling was a dominant force in the playoffs. Again, I'll go into it. When Halladay pitched the no-hitter in that game, or I'm sorry, the perfect game in that playoffs, did they win? Did they win?
Yep.
Did they win? I'm not talking about, did they win?
Oh, the World Series? No.
No, they didn't win the World Series.
No.
When Kurt Schilling was a dominant force, when he needed to pitch a big game again with the Diamondbacks, with Randy Johnson and him, did they win?
Mm-hmm.
They won. When he played with the bloody sock, did they win?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I don't care what he did, pitched a perfect game, in which it's almost impossible to pitch a perfect game in the playoffs. They didn't win. Philadelphia didn't win when he pitched that perfect game. I don't even think Roy Halladay ever won a World Series.
No, he came after the Phillies won in 2008. He was traded the next year when they lost.
Kurt Schilling won how many World Series? 3?
3, yep.
He won 3 World Series, and he was a big part of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
One of the best postseason
And I
pitchers.
understand. I'm not a big Schilling fan. I know he said some interesting, and Jeff is right. He said some anti-Semitic things in the past. He said a lot of weird, crazy things. That doesn't hold you back from going into the World Series. That doesn't take away your talent. Doesn't take away what you have done on a baseball field.
Right. And again, if you're going to do that, leave everybody that's involved in controversy out. It seems like the Baseball Hall of Fame in particular, is just so selective with who they just single out all the time, too. And Ryan Spader, every time we have him on the show, discusses it all the time, just how
Kurt Schilling, he said Kurt Schilling's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, how biased they are to certain guys. It just makes no sense. Speaking of Jeff, he has arrived.
Jeff, what's up, bud?
How are you?
I'm good, man. What's up?
Yeah, look, dude, the Kurt Schilling thing, people need to realize that, look, was he a great baseball player? He certainly was. He really was. But at the end of the day, the Hall of Fame is a museum for baseball. And I think people don't want to build shrines to pieces of shit. They don't want to be, like the Ty Cobb thing is a black eye for them. They don't like that Ty Cobb is in. They're not going to throw him out. But they're just not going to let guys in that say anti-Semitic things like Kurt Schilling did. It's a museum to try to celebrate baseball. And if you start celebrating these people that say these kinds of things, we're in a whole new world now, man. You can't just be good at baseball. You have to also, and by the way, the bar is pretty low. Just don't be a piece of shit.
I understand that. And Jeff, Okay, so what is the reasons why Jeff Kent isn't in the world? He isn't in the Hall of Fame.
He's kind of a fringe dude, don't you think?
Not really. If you look at all the Hall of Famers, all the second base Hall of Famers right now in Cooperstown, he probably has top 5 numbers of all time when it comes to second baseman. If you look at it, defensively, offensively, Speedy, bring up his numbers.
He has 377 home runs.
Hold on.
290 career hitter, 377 home runs, 1518 RBIs. He won 4 Silver Sluggers in his career. 356 on base percentage for his career. 5-time All-Star. He played from 1992 to 2008. 17 years.
17 years. How is Jeff Kent not in the Hall of Fame?
Right, but that's also not the point. You're talking about why is Curt Schilling not in? It's very easy. He's a piece of shit.
All right, and they say that about Jeff Kent. They say that about Jeff Kent all the time, Jeff.
Right, but no one can point to, he said anti-Semitic things or whatever. So the Jeff Kent thing's a little bad. There's no doubt Curt Schilling has done and said things that are blatantly racist. And I think the Museum of Baseball is tired of celebrating racists.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, so Curt Schilling, to me, he represents a bad...
As a baseball player, yes, he should be there as a baseball player.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. You don't want him in because he's an anti-Semitic ass. I understand that, but as a baseball player, he should be there.
You want to know it, but you have such a weird double standard.
Okay,
right?
Let's hear this.
Okay. Trevor Bauer, wow, terrible person, should never play. Well, why not? Well, because you think he did terrible things. Why can't the Hall of Fame have it that way too? They're a separate entity. If Major League Baseball can hold a guy out because he's a piece of shit, so can the Hall of Fame.
Okay,
people need to start wrapping their head around that.
All right, so we look at the game and David Ortiz, because David Ortiz is such a nice guy and such a friendly guy, he did steroids. And I don't care what you say, Jeff. He did steroids. Why is he in the Hall of Fame?
Terrific baseball player, and also not a piece of shit.
So it's okay.
He hasn't beaten women. He hasn't said racist things.
But he did steroids.
Said anti-Semitic. Yeah, okay. Other steroid guys have gotten into.
Who?
Didn't Rafael Palmeiro get in?
No, he didn't. No, he's not. No, he didn't.
Oh, he hasn't gotten in?
No.
I think weren't there other guys that did steroids?
I can't wait for this. David Ortiz is the first one that is admitted to doing some kind of steroid or human growth hormones, and he's the only one to get in. The only one. Why? Why is David Ortiz in the Hall of Fame?
Also, by the way, I think it's true. You think it's true. Also, never tested positive. Not proven.
Oh, stop it, Jeff.
What do you mean? Oh,
stop it,
never
Jeff.
Tested positive.
Jeff, come on. He was on the list. Jeff. Alex Rodriguez was the first name to pop out on the list. Why? Because Selig hated him. Absolutely hated Alex Rodriguez. And I think Alex Rodriguez is one of the worst people in the world. What he did to so many different people in his wrath of steroid abuse. He was a horrible person. He really was.
That was another thing I think the first time we had Spader on the show that he mentioned too. Not that he didn't think Ortiz shouldn't have gotten in, but the fact that there was the George Mitchell bias with the Red Sox too.
Absolutely.
They mentioned, and he mentioned it, and they kind of threw other guys away because of it. Either they all should have gotten in or not in it. None of them yet.
And he knows all about the George Mitchell report.
Yeah.
He knows all about it. He's written about it. There's the MLB wants to throw him out. Okay, Ryan Spader is hated by the major leagues. Right. He's got like 80,000 people following him on Twitter. The MLB absolutely despises him, but a lot of the players respect him because he's honest. He's honest. And Jeff, I agree with you.
Look,
I agree with you.
Right, but I'm agreeing with you too. Like, I don't know why Ortiz is in over some of the other guys, and you can make arguments, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's not hitting a woman. It's not racism. It's not anti-Semitism. People can... A-Rod may get in. People can forgive the steroid abuse because it's cheating. It has to do with baseball. It's not segregating an entire group of human beings. That's what it's about. Like, Oh, you're just railing on Clevenger. Oh, he did this, he did that. He should never play baseball again.
No, he shouldn't.
Right, and I fully agree with you. But what if he had just retired his whole career? He keeps up how he was playing baseball. He's a Hall of Famer, and then a year after he retires, this comes out. Do you start arguing? Well, hey, let's put Clevenger in. No, because he's a piece of shit.
And how about these writers? These writers you're trying to figure out what these writers are looking for on who should get into the Hall of Fame and who shouldn't get into the Hall of Fame. How many people look at CC Sabathia when CC Sabathia becomes eligible on this list? Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he a Hall of Famer? Because
probably
he should be, right?
Probably.
But I think he should be. A lot of these writers think that he shouldn't be. A lot of these writers don't think that he should be.
Everyone's got their own opinion. You don't think Tom Brady was the greatest quarterback ever. Everyone's got their own opinion.
The only reason I'm not going to get into Tom Brady, this has nothing to do with Tom Brady.
No, I only use that as the example because it's a sports opinion. You can have a sports opinion. And just because you disagree with the writers, that's fine. You can disagree.
But what are the writers looking for? I thought it was a 500 home runs. That's what I thought. Over I guess 1,000 RBIs.
Get in has not 500 home runs.
No, I understand that. So
to be honest, Rolen didn't get in because his numbers are very good. Rolen got in. Rolen might be the first guy that got in because he was immaculate on defense.
Oh, he was fantastic.
Terrific defensive.
Fantastic defensive player.
But that goes back to the hypocrisy I was talking about, though. Why did they let Rolen in and not Andrew Jones?
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Andrew Jones should be in the Hall of Fame, and Andrew Jones might not get into the Hall of Fame.
I don't disagree with you, but you guys asking the Curt Schilling question, it answers itself.
Because Jeff, they assume that Andrew Jones did steroids. They assume it. That's what they do.
Right.
They assume
you're assuming David Ortiz did him.
No, but he was on the list. He was on the Mitchell report.
Show me a positive test.
He was on the list. So
great.
If he's on the list, oh God! Everybody knows that Mitchell had a connection with the Boston Red Sox. That's why a lot of these Boston Red Sox. He did. Did he not? Did Spader did not say that?
That's what Spader mentioned.
Spader mentioned that.
You're still denying Goldilocks balls, and now you're slandering the Red Sox.
I didn't deny that. I did not deny Goldilocks balls, by the way. All right, and I don't care. All right, he was given Goldilocks balls because they wanted him to break the record. Who cares?
Cheating.
Okay.
Major League Baseball helping a team. That's cheating.
Okay. Helping a team.
Sport full of controversy.
Okay.
And they're picking double standards of everything.
Major League Baseball let the Astros win that championship.
And by the way, you wouldn't say who cares if it was another team that was doing it. You wouldn't.
Really?
But because it's your favorite.
Stop.
No, you wouldn't.
Stop.
Because it's your
Stop,
favorite
Jeff.
Aaron Judge. You go, I don't care that he's.
I am not an Aaron Judge fan. Do you ever listen to? I want to First of all, buddy, I was one of the guys that didn't want Aaron Judge back. I didn't want to pay $360 million. I didn't want to give him 9 years. I would have taken that money and invested into two guys, or maybe two guys in the offseason next year, in a Soto or somebody like that, or that becomes available because he's younger and he's worth the money. So, no, I wasn't an Aaron Judge fan. I didn't like that contract. And I think that contract's going to hurt the Yankees moving forward because the guy is 280 pounds, 6'7", 31 years old.
Cheating. You deflect so quick. Now you're talking.
I'm not deflecting. I am not deflecting nothing. You're deflecting from one thing to another. I'm protecting myself.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm saying very much on subject. The subject was Curt Schilling in the Hall of Fame, and he's not in because he's a piece of shit.
Did you not bring up? Did he not bring up Aaron Judge?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so
but that's just a whole nother thing. It's like
Curt Schilling should be in the Hall of Fame. Period.
He should not.
Period.
He shouldn't.
Well, okay.
No, he shouldn't. And we shouldn't be celebrating someone who's anti-Semitic. We shouldn't.
Again, I don't like the person that he is, but you have to like the player that he was. When you look at his numbers, they're Hall of Fame numbers. Over 3,000 strikeouts?
Then you shouldn't argue Clevenger and Bauer shouldn't play again. You should say, hey, it's a job, let him play.
How does that make sense? Curt Schilling uses
it's off the field stuff that it doesn't have anything to do with baseball. So let him play.
Hold on one second. Curt Schilling used words. He was raised differently than all of us. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't hit anybody. Yes, he is. I absolutely agree with you. I have Jewish blood in me, so absolutely anti-Semitic is to me is disgusting. But again, he never hit anybody. He never hurt anybody. Okay, he's a guy that mentioned what he meant. Hold on.
It's downplaying anti-Semitism, saying it didn't hurt anybody.
Okay.
Because
In
I think
words.
anti-Semitism hurts a lot of people.
Okay, he hurt in words. He didn't hurt anybody, brutally. Okay. When you look at Trevor Bauer, what he did, it's despicable. Domestic violence, even though he wasn't, he was accused of it and he got off on it. Still, Curt Schilling didn't do what Trevor Bauer did. And then this Clevenger thing.
A lot of people would argue it's just as bad.
And those two guys aren't going to the Hall of Fame. They don't have Hall of Fame numbers. Curt Schilling's a Hall of Famer. What the heck? What has Bauer done? Okay, besides throw the ball on the pitching mound over the outfield wall because he didn't get what he wanted.
Impressive throw.
By the way, it was. By the way,
don't worry. Trevor Bauer's been very impressive playoff pitcher just with drones.
I actually think that's blasphemy. What do you do with? No, that was an impressive throw. Come on, let's be honest.
And what has Clevenger done? Okay. He's had maybe three good years in his career.
First 3 years of his career.
Right, but they've been two of the best pitchers in baseball. And if they went another 10 years because they're still young enough, they could have Hall of Fame numbers. So just brushing it off by saying, what have they done? They could be Hall of Famers if they kept on the same career track that they had been on and played another 10 years. They could be Hall of Famers.
I doubt it.
So it's downplaying it.
Bauer's consistency issues have not boded well the Hall of Fame numbers. Remember, he was a top prospect with Arizona when he first came up. He was a top 10 prospect.
Don't say those words.
I think he was the number
How
8
old is Trevor
prospect in
Bauer?
all of baseball. I want to say 32.
He's 32 years old. If Trevor Bauer actually continue with his career, he's 83-69 with a 3.79 ERA and only has 1,416 strikeouts. There's no way this guy's a Hall of Famer.
Right, but 83-69 with some of the worst teams on the planet. He was going to be with the Dodgers, who would be a wagon with him. You're almost guaranteed he's going to go.
If he pitched to that standard that he did in Cleveland.
If he pitched that standard,
right. But that's what I'm saying. But that's my argument. If they had kept going forward at the same pace that they were, because we don't know if you're going to improve or disintegrate quickly. We don't know.
But his pace was inconsistent, though. He had a lot of bad years. He rebirthed himself nicely.
He was still going to be playing on one of the best teams going in the Dodgers.
Okay, so what was his contract? 3 years?
It was 3 years at $40 million a year.
He would have been there for 3 years. Okay, so let's say
and
3 years, $17 million.
He would have been 35.
Okay,
Jesus Christ, Verlander is fucking 65 years old. He's still pitching.
Okay, so you think
Justin Verlander is collecting Social Security right now while also pitching for the Mets?
Trevor Bauer he would have never been a Hall of Famer. Never would have been a Hall of Famer.
Doesn't matter. Pick a player.
Okay.
And
Albert
say that
Bell
they did what you.
Albert Bell.
Right, piece of shit. Shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Why not? What did Albert Bell do?
I don't know. Took a baseball and rifled it at someone and hit him in the chest in the outfield.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In the stands.
Albert
did
Bell.
He not?
Albert Bell. First of all,
did he not? Yes or no? Did he do that?
But that doesn't make him. That doesn't make him not a Hall of Famer, Jeff. How does that make him not a Hall of Famer?
Listen, you can be Hall of Fame quality player, but you're forgetting the other element. The Hall of Fame is a museum that's there to celebrate players.
Okay.
And they don't want to celebrate pieces of shit.
Okay. Let's go through the last Hall of Famers in the last 5 years. Speedy, bring up the last Hall of Famers the last 5 years. I want to see the list
of
Hall of Famers.
By the way, you're downplaying very much the fact that Albert Bell stood 10 feet from the stands and fired a baseball at someone in the stands and hit them in the chest. That's pretty egregious.
So he did one thing wrong, and it's going to cost him the Hall of Fame.
Well, Trevor Bauer's done one thing wrong. Let him play, right?
Trevor Bauer did a lot of things wrong, not just that. Okay? So,
right. And by the way, you're arguing Trevor Bauer did a whole lot.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, even Major League Baseball is basically saying, yeah, nothing to see here because the girl was making videos smiling about it. So
I would agree with you, but the fact that he did it is disgusting anyways. For him to admit that he did stuff like that makes him even more, a little. Why would anybody want somebody like that on their team doing that to a woman?
I realize it's 11:30 at night, and I don't know if we're doing
yes, we are.
But she asked for some of the things that should be done to her.
All right, so 2017, the two veteran guys, Bud Selig and John Schuerholz, and then
Bud Selig, who's the one who allowed steroids going on. Yeah, great.
And then the other three,
he's trash too.
Pudge Rodriguez, Tim Raines, Jeff Bagwell were the other three inductees that year.
Tim Raines is a borderline Hall of Fame. He shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Bagwell, I think.
By the way, I think Bagwell is a steroids guy too.
Yes,
and he got in. He got in a second.
But there was nothing admitted. He wasn't on the Mitchell report because he was done.
All right.
Before the Mitchell report.
2018, the two veteran guys were
guy.
Alan Trammell and Jack Morris were the two veteran guys, and then Jim Thome, Chipper Jones, Trevor Hoffman, and Vlad Guerrero. 2019, the veteran guy was Lee Smith, and then Mariano Rivera, Mike Mussina.
Lee Smith, okay. Lee Smith made it to the Hall of Fame. Lee Smith.
Yeah, Lee Smith was the veteran
Lee
guy.
Smith, great reliever.
Yes,
for
he was.
a dozen teams.
Yeah, yes, you're right. A dozen teams. He was a journeyman. And honestly, Lee Smith played like 20.
Doesn't make
he
you
played like
great.
23 years, okay? That's why he had as many saves as he has. He's not Mariano Rivera. He's not Trevor Hoffman. He shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. You have to be the best of the best. When you look at the NFL, look how many great players are not in the Hall of Fame.
Museum. You're super upset about a museum.
But Jeff, when you look at the Hall of Fame, you're inducting the greatest players of those eras. Albert Bell. I'm sorry. That's fine. Albert Bell in the 90s, for like 8 or 9 years, was one of the best players in the league, if not the best player in the league. How is he not in the Hall of Fame? It doesn't make sense. When you look at these numbers, let's see. All right, in a row. 38, 129, 36, 101, 50, 126, 48, 148, 30, 116, 49, 152, 37, 117. Are you kidding me? Look at those numbers. How many players in Major League history in a 7-year span has numbers like that? How many, Jeff?
Also, a lot of cheating for Albert Bell.
Oh, how?
Several times suspended for corked bats. That's cheating.
Oh God.
2019 to continue with.
Hold on. Is that cheating? I want to ask you. Do you think a corked bat is cheating?
Yes.
So he cheated.
Okay. And how many other players cheated? How many other players are in the Hall of Fame that cheated?
George Brett with the pine tar incident. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Well, that pine tar thing is like the worst rule I've ever seen in my life. What? Because a little speck of pine tar was an inch.
Hold on one second.
How many more than a speck?
Hold on one second. How many times have we heard you make fun of Garrett Cole this year because of the whole pine tar thing?
I'm sorry.
Give me a break, Jeff. Spider Tech. Are you kidding me, Jeff?
I don't recognize that name. Are you talking about Kermit?
Yes. Jeff, you've been attacking Garrett Cole all season
because
long.
He stinks now without the
Oh, stop it! He stunk. He was pretty dominant in the playoffs.
Third best pitcher on that rotation. Nestor Cortez was better than him.
Oh God, please.
You can say, oh please.
He led the league in strikeouts, Jeff.
Terrific. How many loogies did he have to hawk on that ball without his precious spider tack?
So the rest of the 2019 ones: Mariano Rivera, Mike Mussina, Edgar Martinez, Roy Halladay. I know one that you didn't think should have gotten in was Harold Baines, another one that you had.
Baines was a great player for a long time, man.
2020 was Larry Walker. Ted Simmons was the veteran guy, and then Marvin Miller was an umpire that got in, and Derek Jeter, of course.
And Snug says Albert Bell didn't play long enough. He played 12 years. Anything over 10 years. Anything over 10 years is a Hall of Famer. Yes, he played long enough.
I don't want that Marvin guy in. I don't think any umpire should get in. Stop celebrating umpires.
Jeff is running the Baseball Hall of Fame now.
Umpires are only the referees of baseball.
And then last year, the last one was Big Papi, like we mentioned. Tony Oliva was a veteran guy.
Yep.
Buck O'Neill, another veteran guy. Minnie Minoso, a veteran guy. Jim Cott, a veteran guy, a pitcher. Gil Hodges. And Bud Fowler was one of the early baseball era guys.
All deserving. Especially Jim Cott. Jim Cott was terrific.
Cam Reddish getting a lot of trade interest across the NBA. I am not surprised.
No one cares.
I know nobody cares, but obviously the All-Star break is coming right around the corner. I think it's a couple of weeks away. Yep. And then the trade deadline's right after that, like a week and a half after that. So Cam Reddish is a name. I don't think the Knicks are going to get much for him. They'll probably get a second-round draft pick, maybe a player. But he's not worth a first-round draft pick, and the Knicks aren't playing him. And if he's not playing, you're not going to get
Knicks
much
had a
for
big
him.
win tonight. They beat Boston tonight.
They did. They came back.
Boston is a city. We're down bad tonight. We lost to the Knicks and the Lightning. Woof, we are down bad.
Jalen Brunson had a good game. And if Jalen Brunson plays like that, the Knicks are going to be very hard out in the playoffs. Now, I don't think the Knicks are going anywhere. They're still a piece or two pieces away from being a contender.
I don't know, man. I saw some good Knicks and I saw some bad Knicks tonight because, truthfully, they were up 12 with 4 minutes to go.
I saw that, yeah.
How did that game go over? You're up 12 with 4 minutes to go, dude. Make a couple of shots. The game's out of reach.
I don't know.
It's still not a great fourth.
I don't know.
Team,
Jason Tatum is still a dominant force, probably an MVP.
Yeah, but
candidate.
a 12-point lead with 4 minutes to go. Come on, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you have a player that good, and by the way, Jason Tatum, he's not going, as of right now, he's not the MVP. I still think it's Jokic, and he might win his third in a row. It's unbelievable. A second-round draft pick to become a player of this magnitude. It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable player. He is a terrific player.
And not a piece of shit, so he could be a Hall of Famer.
Well, Jeff, I love what you said about him like 3 years ago. You're like the best player in the NBA that has a dad bod.
This might be the Nuggets year.
Hold on. Was I not right about him from like 4 or 5 years ago?
No, it was the funniest thing. It was one of the funniest things you ever said. Was he's like the best player in the NBA with a dad bod.
Yeah.
No, he's a fantastic player. He really is.
I saw a hilarious meme today too. I should send it to you, Errol.
Yeah,
It's got a picture of Tupac and he's like old and gray, and it said this would be Tupac if Ben Simmons was the shooter.
Oh God.
because Ben Simmons would have missed. You know.
Oh man, I will. It's crazy, but Jokic is unbelievable, and that team, they're at full strength. Murray's back. This is what they expected this team to be. And Golden State, by the way, Steph Curry, are you ever going to stop taking your mouthpiece and throwing it at people? I mean, he got thrown out of the game last night. Embarrassing.
I mean, let's be honest. The ref was a little overzealous there.
Come on, man. This guy's been doing it for years.
He threw it because he was mad at his team.
Yeah, I'm good crank.
No. Listen, I agree with you. It's getting a little too much with him chewing on it and things and whatever. It's a weird thing with the mouthpiece. But he didn't throw it at another player. He threw it at his own bench, right? He didn't throw it at another player. He didn't throw it because he was mad at a ref. The ref was trying to inject himself into a game. That's what I don't like about refs. When you think 40,000 people showed up to see you blow a whistle, get out of here, bro.
I just think that he's a crybaby. He always gets the calls. Every single game he gets the calls, and because he didn't get the call in this game, he cries.
It's ridiculous. All the star players do. It's ridiculous.
You've seen star players rip out their mouthpiece every single game and throw it at people? I've seen them doing it.
You want to know what I see? I see them throw their hands in the air and run at every referee with their hands in the air, i.e. James Harden, i.e. LeBron James.
James Harden is the worst.
Julius Randle,
he gets away with like 7 travels a game, it seems like.
Julius Randle cries to his own coaches he doesn't get enough time on the court.
Right. You have a Steph Curry thing, so that's why you're going to him. But I could literally name 30 NBA players that anytime the whistle blows, they throw their hands in the air like they've never committed a foul before. It's getting out of control with some of these players.
And then LeBron James says that Bronny is good enough to play for any college, collegiate team. So
he's wrong.
I do. First of all, I think
this whole thing's getting ridiculous too. Do you know what number prospect? First of all, just in this senior class, go ahead, look it up. It'll be fun for you. Do you know where Bronny James is ranked just in his senior class?
Where is he ranked?
It'll be fun.
20th? 37th. So maybe he could play for a top.
He could not play at any university because let's be honest. Pick a blue blood school, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina, any of those. They get top 10 guys every year, and not all of them go to the NBA. So top 10 guys in their class every year are sticking around, and you think the 37th ranked prospect is just going to step in and play wide because his daddy's good? Get out of here.
Duke and Kansas, according
and
to
you
27
watch.
Sports.
That's why Bronny will be a top 10 pick in the NBA, because they know if he goes to that
No,
team.
he won't.
I'm
No,
just saying,
he won't. He's
I'm
a
just saying.
second-round pick at best.
Really? Interesting.
Second-round pick at best. You watch. Write that one down, Speedy. Put that in the old memory bank. Second-round pick at best.
Jeff's best bet of 2023. LeBron James' son will be a second-round pick.
He is my anti-Zayden Collins.
You don't like LeBron James. That's why you don't like.
It has nothing to.
Yes,
it
it
has
does.
nothing to.
Yes,
no,
it
it
does.
has nothing. No, it has nothing to do with that. I have never seen such hype surrounding such an average player. You've never seen someone with this low of a ranking just amongst his senior class have so much hype.
Well, I would agree with you. I don't think Bronny is as good as his father explains him to be. No. And also, I've seen Bronny play. I've watched some of the clips of some of the games that he's played in. His brother's better than he is. I mean, his brother plays on the same team.
Do you realize little Bronny sat out last week against the #1 team in the state of California? Just sat out. What is he doing?
He's going to get right from his father. His father helped further that on, and now even the young kids are doing it.
Because you know why? You know why that happened? Is because he's ranked 37th, and that other high school that's #1 in the state of California was coming in, and they have 3 kids ranked in the top 20 on that list that he was going to be playing against, and Daddy didn't want little Bronny getting exposed.
By the way, you mentioned a lot of the blue blood programs. According to this list from 27 Sports, Duke and Kansas actually did not give him an offer at all. It's only Ohio.
He wanted to play for Duke.
Ohio State, USC, and Memphis are the only official teams to give an offer, and then Oregon was another one that was rumored too.
Do you know why they didn't offer him? Because he's no good, and they can get better.
Yeah.
Well, no, you mentioned it. They have the top.
The only reason
recruiting
why a
class
lot
in
of
it.
these schools would be interested in Bronny right now is because of the name, and it'll
Right.
draw.
Bronny,
it will draw fans.
Bronny should end up at DePaul where he belongs.
DePaul, Rutgers. Send him to Rutgers.
Rutgers is good now. No, Jeff's right. DePaul will be. If you want to dump him into somewhere in the Big East, it's not going to get anywhere. Either there or Georgetown's probably the best bet for that.
Right,
Rutgers has actually gotten a little more legitimacy. They're actually one of the best defenses in the country.
Dude, I'll give you the perfect spot for him because they struggle getting top guys. Send them to Providence. Providence sometimes gets some sneaky people. No, but that's the kind of no, listen, I'm a Providence supporter. You know it, right? But that's the caliber of school. Providence is never going to be Duke or North Carolina or any of those blue bloods. I would love them to be. They're just never getting there. But that's the caliber of school Bronny belongs at. Do you know why?
Why?
Because he stinks.
LeBron doesn't think so.
No, LeBron says he can play at every college. Maybe he's going to fund all the NIL money.
Right.
Maybe LeBron's got boosters we don't know about.
Maybe LeBron
Right,
pays
because
off Duke. It pays off Shire. To take his son.
Oh, by the way, I did.
doesn't-
Again, I did see an article too. Looking at the college basketball scores, there was an article most overperforming and underperforming coaches. So they mentioned John Shire. I know you'd like that.
What did I tell you? Shire stinks.
I mean, let's be honest. Who was going to show up to Duke and follow Mike Krzyzewski? Be honest. Was anyone going to do it?
Well, I will tell you this: if Bobby Hurley got invited for an interview, I think he takes the job. Bobby Hurley would love that job. He would have loved that job.
The guy that should have gotten the job is the guy Krzyzewski blocked from getting the job, and he would have done a really good job.
Who?
Which was Tommy Amaker.
Really?
Yeah. He blocked Tommy Amaker. Tommy Amaker wanted the job, had interest, called people, and Krzyzewski was like, "No, I'm going to make it John Shire."
Yeah, you're going to make it John Shire, and John Shire will be gone in 3 years. And
3 years, dude. He might not last another 3 months. That we're going.
That's Errol's dream.
I would love Shire to be out in 3 months if they could do that. They should have invited an interview. I believe Coach K should have asked Bobby Hurley for an interview, and I think Bobby Hurley would have loved this position. I really do.
Bobby Hurley wouldn't have been the guy. Danny Hurley would have been the guy.
Why?
Danny Hurley is having. What are you kidding? Bobby Hurley stinks. He's coaching what? Arizona State. He's
Arizona
trash.
State, yeah, they've been bad the last 3
Right.
years, but he was good before that with Arizona State.
Right. You know who is having success as a coach because he was at URI and is now
I liked him at URI,
UConn
yeah.
and thriving at UConn. I don't know what is it that UConn is like a top 5-6 team right now.
Yep. No, they've been very good all year. They've been number 2 at one point this year.
Screw Bobby Hurley. Danny Hurley would have been the dude. Danny Hurley's being a successful
Listen,
coach.
I love Bobby,
Hurley, throw him in
okay?
the
I
trash.
love Bobby. I wanted Bobby here. All right?
Of
I would have
course
been
you
happy.
like the loser brother. That's why you're an Islanders fan. You're like the B team of everything.
B team. You know what, Jeff?
I love the Jets, B team. I love the Islanders, B team. This is terrible. Oh, Bobby Hurley. Yeah, give me the shitty Hurley. Perfect for an Islander fan.
You know what? I might be a B, but you're a C. How's that sound? Actually, you're an F. How's that sound? That sound good?
Yeah, that's fine too. I have no problem with that. It is what it is, but I'm not wrong. Schilling's a piece of shit. Danny Hurley's the better coach. Bronny stinks.
URI had some really good teams in the mid part of last decade. Yeah.
No. They had a wagon.
I know.
Was it the late 80s? Or
Well,
early
yeah,
90s?
also then too. Yes, correct. That was their peak. Yeah.
Catino Mobley and
Oh,
Lamar
God,
Odom.
please.
Dude, URI was a wagon, man. URI was a
No, I'm
Elite
talking
team.
about Mobley and obviously who was the other one that we would just
Lamar Odom?
Lamar Odom.
Dude, you say what you want about their professional careers and whatever. In college, they were a wagon.
I know. Lamar Odom was a great college ball player. He was great, and so was Mobley. But in the NBA, I mean, Mobley played for Phoenix, right? I think Mobley was.
Remember.
It was on.
I think Mobley definitely. I think was Houston. Maybe he played for Phoenix.
No, he did play
I
for
don't know.
Houston. He definitely played for Houston. I think he was on Phoenix too. I think he finished his career on Phoenix. But Mobley, I remember Mobley. He was a good shooter. He was a good 3-point shooter. But that's it. He wasn't even a consistent 3-point shooter. And Lamar Odom, he played for the Lakers. He was most known for the Lakers. So and he won a couple of titles. But he played with Kobe Bryant.
But think about when was the last time you saw the only other time I can think of 2 NBA players, because it's so rare that you get 2 pretty good at say what you want. Lamar Odom was a pretty good NBA
Yes,
player.
he was.
He
was
right?
pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's really rare that you get 2 pretty good NBA players on a team in college that dude, who's URI, right? Who are they? They're not one of the blue blood schools. So to have 2 NBA players there is really remarkable. The only other time I could think of something like that happening is at St. Joe's when they had Jameer Nelson and Delonte West. They had the best backcourt.
They were the
in
number 1
country.
seed that year, and I think they lost in the
Yeah.
Elite 8. Yeah.
Right, but who's St. Joe's? Who gives a shit? But all of a sudden you produce 2 pretty good NBA players. That's remarkable.
Yeah, I'm looking at Lamar Odom. He averaged 13 points a game in his career, 8 rebounds. Yeah, he was a pretty good NBA player. He's above average. So
Right,
yes.
but in college he was a 25, 26 point dude. You know what I'm saying? He was getting it.
No, he was 17.6, 9.4, 3.8 in the 98-99 season for URI.
Yeah, and then they also had a pretty good rivalry with the John Calipari UMass team at the time, who had Lou Rowe and Marcus Camby and those dudes. Dude.
Yeah.
That was the height of Northeast basketball, bro.
Oh, that was when basketball was so much better than it is now. I mean, there was some great teams.
Right, because LeBron James wasn't alive then. That's what
Oh, hold on. LeBron James he never played college ball. He went right from high school.
No. I'm just attributing the downfall of
Could you imagine if
sports to one
LeBron
person.
James actually played college basketball for 1 year? Does he win a national championship?
I don't know. It's very
because he would have passed to some loser with a passing grade, and he would have missed the open shot. That's what he does. He has to let someone else try to make the shot, like with Ray Allen in the finals. You know,
a lot of those preseason hype super freshman teams.
Kyrie
don't usually
Irving
win.
Well, Cleveland, he gave the ball to Kyrie Irving
or Grady Dick.
Well, just in general, a lot of those super hype freshman teams don't usually win. Look at Duke in 2019. Zion, RJ, and Cam Reddish.
You don't even
the
need to go
Elite
there. Yeah, I'll give you the best example of that. Forget all the other examples. The best example of that is the Fab Five.
Yeah.
They didn't win shit.
Right. You're right. Katino Mobley was drafted by the Rockets. Then he went to Orlando. 1 year with the Kings. Half a year with the Kings. Trade deadline, and then played for the Clippers, where the Clippers like the worst team in the Western Conference.
Yes, that's he played for the Clippers, not Phoenix.
Right,
That's
but
right,
it's just rare to have two NBA players on like one of these like mid-level schools at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like imagine if Marquette had Dwayne Wade and somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that would be remarkable.
Like Damian Lillard, I think when he was drafted from Weber State, like he was like the only guy there for a while, but they made the tournament a couple times with him.
Yeah, like just pretend like Marvin Bagley or someone was at Murray State with John Morant. Like you'd be like, how the hell did Murray State get these two guys?
Yeah, I remember that team too. By the way, I remember that team. Remember UNLV with Greg Anthony?
Of course,
the only team
Larry
that
Larry
won at national championship game.
Oh man, that team was one of the greatest teams I ever watched play basketball. That was a fantastic team.
Yeah, they were terrific.
They were really fun to watch. And then there was the,
but that was different
Fab
than
Five.
But that was different than like the big teams back then aren't big anymore because UNLV was really big. You know who the other one that was big back then?
Kentucky.
Like in that era?
Kentucky.
No, dude, Arkansas.
Arkansas was good. Yes, they were.
Yeah, they had their whole slogan was like 40 minutes of hell. And who was their coach? The coach he looked like Cleveland Brown from Family Guy.
I know who you're talking about too.
Yeah. I keep forgetting his name, but yeah, he was a good
Speedy's
coach.
looking it up. He's looking it up.
Yeah, the Arkansas coach from like, I don't know, the early 90s or something.
Mid-90s. Yeah, it was mid-90s. Mm-hmm. And I remember that Arkansas team. You're right. Also, Arizona was really good in the 90s too. They had some pretty good teams. They won a national championship.
The Bibby team and Miles Simon and those dudes. Yeah, they had good teams.
Yes, they won the national champion. I think they beat Kentucky that year, right? I think it was Kentucky.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right. I'm trying to see this.
I remember.
Yeah.
It's okay, Speedy. You don't have to look it up. It's good. Jeff, you want to do your picks?
Oh, yeah. What are the standings so far?
So if you're talking about for the playoffs, you and I both went 3-1 last week, as did Derek, and then Errol was 2-2.
And I'm going.
So we're in first.
Yes.
So we're in first.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Errol's in last.
By the way, Jeff, is it Nolan Richardson that you're thinking of? What's the coach?
Nolan Richardson, dude. Nolan Richardson. And by the way, you want an unbelievable Nolan Richardson story too?
You
should check out Nolan Richardson's Hall of Fame speech when he was talking about Larry Bird. You'll fall over laughing, bro.
You know, you're such an ass. Okay.
What?
You just are. You're an ass. All right,
why?
Speedy.
What's wrong with why would I say what was wrong about?
We're in first. Errol's in last.
Wait, but you're in last by 2 games now.
That's great. I don't care.
Maybe we should go out of order. Would you like to pick first this time?
No, I'm good. I'm going with the teams I want to go with.
Would that help the mojo? Maybe we can get you out of the basement. You're a cellar dweller.
I'm
Isn't
fine.
that what they call in baseball, Speedy? Errol's a cellar dweller.
Okay, Jeff. Are you ready? I'm gonna give you a cellar dweller.
He's like the Beeb, a cellar dweller.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So we'll start with the NFC Championship game. The 49ers at the Eagles. I've been back and forth with this all week. Now, a lot of the themes with these mutual teams have been when it comes to the 49ers and the Bengals are the teams that are streaking in. They're both at double-digit win streaks right now. The Eagles and the Chiefs, the 2 home teams. And the Niners and the Chiefs, could they lose back-to-back NFC Championship games again? But I think the Niners, this is their first test of adversity here because they didn't prove a lot against Dallas to me where they did other concepts that made it work. I didn't like the play calling from Kyle Shanahan in this game, and I thought they still were exposed on the outside. I think this is a bigger game for A.J. Brown. I think Travarius Ward, they're going to move him on Devontae Smith instead. I think that would be the better game plan because he has experience in the slot. That being said, I also don't know if the Niners can get some pressure from the other end, not Nick Bosa, because the Eagles' offensive line is very good. So I like the Eagles to be able to move the ball for that reason. Now, the Niners will be able to expose the slot. They'll be able to run the ball. This game will be very close, but I think this is the first game that you're going to see some pressure on Brock Purdy. This is a very loud crowd. And I just think the Niners, they have a trouble starting slower in games, and I don't know if they'll be able to catch up to the Eagles later on. So I'm going to take the Eagles. I think it's going to be a very close game, a game of field goals. Both these red zone offenses will struggle, but I'm going to take the Eagles in a close one, 23-20.
Jeff.
Yeah, Speedy, I think I agree with you. I think I like the Eagles in this game. Honestly, it's a coin flip. Both defenses are very good. Both offensive lines are very good. The only glaring difference maybe here is is the play at quarterback. Brock Purdy is Mr. Irrelevant. Jalen Hurts is irrelevant to Alabama since he's Oklahoma quarterback Jalen Hurts. And I think that's where the difference is. Like, the 49ers could have and should have gotten beat if Dak Prescott wasn't a big piece of shit. Jalen Hurts isn't a piece of shit. I'm taking the Eagles.
Yeah, I like the Eagles in this game. And again, you look
You
at
gotta take the other side. You'll never catch up.
No, I don't care.
I knew he wasn't going to.
First of all, I am an Eagles guy, and I am not betting against the Eagles. I don't think San Francisco's any good at the quarterback position. I am not a big Brock Purdy fan at all. I'm not. But I do think that they're very evenly matched. I do. I think the special teams is a little bit more on the Eagles side. And I also think that the Eagles are pretty well put together. I think their secondary is one of the best in football with obviously Darius Slay and Johnson. This is a good secondary that can stop.
Davis.
Yes, we all know about Jordan Davis. But
does Jordan Davis have an interception, Jeff?
I don't trust San Francisco's secondary in this game. I don't know if they can stop. I don't know if they can stop A.J. Brown. I don't know if they can stop Smith. So I think that's going to be the big problem is the secondary of the San Francisco 49ers defense. And really, I believe that Jalen Hurts is going to cause a lot of mismatches, especially when he starts to use his legs in this game. I think he's going to open up the field. He's going to open up the running game for Sanders. And I think San Francisco is going to have a problem stopping the running game. Give me Philadelphia. And it's not going to be close. It's probably going to be, I'm going to predict 25-15, something like that. There is no way San Francisco is going to be in this game at any point.
Mm-hmm. By the way, before I get to the AFC Championship game pick, our resident Eagles fan, Derek, of course, he's picking the Eagles as well. So now the AFC Championship game, Cincinnati Bengals.
He picked the Eagles under his alias.
Yes, he picked the Eagles under the alias. Yes, maybe he'll be the Philadelphia AFL affiliate for all we know.
I can't wait for
find
this
out that kid's real name.
Yes, the alias of Mountain picks his Eagles. So Chiefs hosting the Bengals. Now, obviously, a lot has been unknown with the Patrick Mahomes injury. He has been practicing the last two games. Now, here's the thing. It's very interesting because the Bengals, throughout the year, have had a lot of trouble playing down to a lot of these teams with either quarterback issues or backup quarterbacks in this game. We saw Cooper Rush, of all people, beat them in the beginning of the season, Jacoby Brissett, and even the playoff game against the Ravens. They didn't play great in that game either. And Errol's even saying the Ravens would probably win by double digits if Lamar Jackson was playing in that game. So the Bengals, a lot of the times, the game planning has not been great with them. Now, I will applaud Zach Taylor the way he played coach last week. That being said, I don't know if Joe Mixon's able to run the same way against the Bills that he did against the Chiefs, because the Chiefs do have a top number 8 run defense in the league. Also, the interior rush with the 3 offensive linemen that are hurt, 2 tackles out. I think it's going to be a lot harder against the Chiefs with Karlaftis, with Chris Jones. I think it's going to be a lot more pressure. So I think the Chiefs defense will be able to keep them in the games and hold them the field goals. Offensively, I think it'll be a struggle, but I think Andy Reid now with a full week to game plan him, I think he'll be able to turn those into touchdowns. They'll be able to contain Travis Kelce, but watch out for Jeff, you'll like this one. It pays me to admit, watch out for Kadarius Toney in this game. I think he's going to be an X factor, a guy in motion. Patrick Mahomes will do a lot of shovel passes. And I think Jerick McKinnon or Pacheco, one of those guys will do well receiving. Give me the Chiefs, 1-point game. I don't think they lose 2 in a row in Arrowhead. 21-20.
Well, Speedy, you don't think they will lose 2 in a row in Arrowhead, but yet they did last year, and they are again going to this year. Because Patrick Mahomes has a terrible condition called Dak Prescott foot. That's what he has right now. He has Dak Prescott foot, and it's a terrible injury because Patrick Mahomes' greatest strength is being able to move in and out of the pocket and make creative plays. And since he's got Prescott foot now, that's going to hamper that ability. I like the Bengals because their offense is rolling. We're going to rename the stadium Burrowhead.
I hope you're right. I actually hope I'm wrong on both picks, but I have Eagles Chiefs.
They won twice last year, and they already won in Burrowhead once this year. They're going to lose twice again this year too, Stevie.
I'm going to call this game the swag game because it's 2 quarterbacks that have a lot of swag. Joe Burrow last week.
Swag. He looks like Darlene from Roseanne.
Joe Burrow last
Darlene
week.
from Roseanne has swag.
Josh, you got to admit the cigar photo is iconic.
Joe Burrow.
No, it's not because he's got an idiot brother that's on TikTok too much, and I hate his stupid.
I think I'm Burrow. My bad. Sorry.
No. Burrow has swag. Darlene, dude, Patrick Mahomes looks like Darlene from Roseanne.
Gotcha.
Joe Burrow last week went into Buffalo and absolutely shocked everybody, knocking off Josh Allen in that power defense. And I think going into Arrowhead, obviously it's going to be cold. It's not going to be snowy. the question is Joe Mixon going to be able to run the ball in this game? He ran the ball very well last week. So did Piron. If they do that this week, it's not going to be even close. Now, the thing about Patrick Mahomes going into this game is how is his ankle? Is his ankle going to hold up throughout this game? He's going to have 2 weeks before the Super Bowl if they get out of this game where he's going to have time to heal and time to get some cortisone in his leg. I don't know how healthy he's going to be in this game. I don't. And if he can't throw on his back foot, he's going to have problems pitching the ball and doing the things that he does very well, especially moving out of the pocket and making those deep passes that he loves to do, either to Travis Kelce, Kadarius Toney, or one of those guys. So I think he's going to have problems doing that in this game. And also, are they going to get enough pressure on Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow has one of the fastest releases in the NFL. You saw on Sunday last week, his release was fantastic. He got the ball out quick. Jamar Chase was open in every aspect of the game. And T. Higgins, again, really didn't have one of those big games. I want to see, we haven't really even seen the great part and the great aspect of his game in T. Higgins and what he could do. He has been the best wide receiver all season long for the Bengals. And ever since Jamar Chase came back, it's been all Jamar Chase. And Tyler Boyd had a pretty decent game last week. I want to see T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins will have a big game this coming Sunday. Give me the Bengals in this game. The Bengals will win 20-17.
That's disappointing. You might be able to gain a game on Speedy, but not me. You're still going to be in last. That's terrible.
And
who cares?
The alias of Derek also has the Chiefs in this one as well. So he's agreeing with me. He's thinking Eagles, Chiefs, Andy Reid versus his former team. It's just kind of hard. Like everything on paper says the Bengals.
I would love to see Andy Reid versus the Eagles. I would love to see.
Yes, I know you would. Everything on paper says a lot of things say the Bengals. I just can't see both the Chiefs and the 49ers losing in the conference championship games 2 years in a row.
As much as I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback right now in the NFL, I would love to see Joe Burrow go into another Super Bowl and maybe have a chance to win. I don't think he beats the Eagles. I think whoever comes out of the AFC has no chance against the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl this year. It doesn't matter who comes out of that game. They're going to have a problem with the Eagles.
I think the Bengals have the weapons to get the offense going against the Eagles, though. I do.
The secondary of the Eagles is pretty damn good, and
but they're going to have to match up tight ends on Hayden Hurst, who's a terrific tight end.
I think the Eagles.
Right?
I think the Eagles. Go ahead.
That'll be a linebacker covering him. That's not the secondary dude. I think sling it to Mixon out of the backfield. I like the Bengals.
I think the Eagles could shut down the Kansas City Chiefs. They could put pressure up the middle for Patrick Mahomes, and even with Patrick Mahomes getting 2 weeks to heal, he's still not going to be 100%. A high ankle sprain, it takes 3 to 4 weeks to heal. He is not going to be 100%.
There's another reason why I don't like Mahomes this week, because it's going to be cold in Kansas City, and the cold does not help that injury.
No, it doesn't. And that's why you're going to see a lot of heat go on his leg or his ankle every single time he goes to the bench. And it's going to be cold.
It's a crippling condition, Prescott foot. Crippling condition.
Prescott foot.
It's taken down the whole state of Texas before.
Jeff, thank you for calling, bud.
And one residence on Long Island I know of for sure. It's ruined that residence.
No, he doesn't like Dak anyway, though.
Oh, God.
What are you talking about? He's going to win 3 in a row. You'll see.
Yeah, and then he also posted on Facebook 2 weeks ago, Dak is garbage.
Yeah, no.
He's finally coming around to see the light.
Listen, I'm probably the only one that doesn't blame Dak Prescott for that full loss. Okay, probably the only person in the world.
Come on, dude. He's got a hand in it. If you had a pie,
no, he did.
100%
had a hand in the loss. Absolutely does. But he wasn't
but
all.
He wasn't all. Where are you placing the blame for that loss then? Where are you placing the blame for that?
I didn't say it was. I said Dak Prescott's half of the reason why they lost. How about the fourth quarter and the way the defense played? They didn't play well in the fourth quarter. They could not stop Christian McCaffrey. Hold on.
Right,
and Mike McCarthy, the play calling in the fourth quarter, especially the last 5-6 minutes of the game, horrible. They had a chance to win. They had a chance to tie.
Right, but is the play calling McCarthy or is the play calling Kellen Moore? Because I'll tell you this, when the Cowboys succeed and they throw it all around, everyone goes, wow, Kellen Moore's a genius. And then when the offense sputters, they go, damn, Mike McCarthy. Pick a lane on who's responsible for the offense.
I'm not a Cowboy fan, so I blame Mike McCarthy. It goes through Mike McCarthy. He's the one that, says, okay, run that play.
You would agree with it when they do good. They praise Kellen Moore for it, correct?
100%. I think Kellen Moore is horrible. He should be fired. He should have been fired after they lost
the
that
whole
game.
organization should be fired. Jerry Jones should call himself into his office this week and fire himself.
What, he's going to look in the mirror? You're fired.
I mean,
Call Donald Trump.
But at what point can he realize that he's part of the problem and maybe he needs to hand control? Maybe not. Maybe he doesn't give him full control. Maybe Jerry Jones still has a say, but there needs to be somebody else running that organization because Jerry Jones ain't it, bro.
I don't know.
No.
No, I think Jerry Jones is past his time. Okay, I mean, I'm surprised he's not dead yet. Okay, I mean, the guy's what, 89 years old?
He looks like that thing from Tales of the Crypt. Remember the Crypt Keeper? That's what he looks like at this point.
Oh, I love that. I love that show. I love that show.
But this is what it is. Like, you know, I could say this about a lot of people, right? Like a lot of people.
He's 80 years old, Jerry Jones.
Dude, I'll tell you this. I've said the same thing about Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is like a run-only guy, and he runs all the time. Dude, it's not the 80s anymore, bro. Throw the football. Right? And I think the game has passed him by for what he's trying to do just all the time. It's why Michigan never succeeds. Shout out, Carl.
And that was Jeff Staley shot at Michigan.
I will say this before we let you go.
It's not a shot at Michigan. It's reality. When they had to throw the ball the last 2 years, they couldn't do it. Correct?
Yes.
All they could do was run. And then when their best player, their running back Blake Corum, gets hurt, they're caught with their pants down, and they're going, "Well, what do we do now?" And they have no clue what to do. The game has passed Jim Harbaugh.
I will say this before we go. Mike McCarthy actually had a press conference today, and he says that Jerry Jones wants him to be the Cowboys coach as long as Tom Landry. That's never going to happen. Okay. That is never going to happen. Mike McCarthy, if this team doesn't get into the NFC title game next year, he will be fired. 110%. Book that, because Sean Payton's lurking. He'll be sitting there ready to take over. I think
Sean Payton's getting another job this year. By the way, just so you know, like, this is an interesting tidbit. This is what makes me think Sean Payton is the next Cardinals coach.
Yeah.
Every sports book in Las Vegas has now taken down the prop where they think Sean Payton will end up. They have eliminated, like, you could have bet it before. You can no longer bet where Sean Payton is going to be a coach. And if Vegas knows something, and by the way, Vegas is very good at their job. I think Sean Payton's the next Cardinals coach. So he won't even have a shot to be the Cowboys coach.
I'm looking forward
By the
to
way,
this.
Tom Landry coached 29 seasons in the NFL. So Mike McCarthy, you got 26 more years to go if you're going to make it there.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I'm not even sure the food supply chain could hold up in Texas for that.
There's so much barbecue joints in Texas, Jeff. He'll be able to figure it out.
Beeve is going to be, med flighting in some coleslaw to McCarthy to keep him stable. He's going to be doing those. He's going to be doing those UNICEF food drops into Dallas. Here's some potato salad, buddy. Stay strong.
All right, Jeff, we got to let you go.
All right, boys. Cheers. Let's go Bengals.
Jeff from Tampa. He's out of his mind. He really is. He's going to drop coleslaw. Oh, man. Oh, what a show. Thank you to ex-Falcon, Titan, and Eagles safety and founder of Sneakerhead University, Antoine Harris, for joining us. And also thank you to ex-Cowboy, Bronco, and Jaguars defensive end and founder of Mr. Mince Productions, Jeremy Mincey. Fantastic, guys. Thank you for giving us the time. Thank you to all the fans. Thank you to everybody. Listen to the Weekend Crunch, which airs every single Saturday this week at 7 o'clock.
No, we're still on the Islander game for this week. Okay. Next 2 weeks will be normal again.
All right, so 10:30 after the Islander game on 103.9 FM. Tune in as well. We have some of the best content you can listen to when it comes to sports radio on an FM dial. And we'll be back next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Who do we have next week?
Next week, the only one definitively known right now is returning to the show, ex-Raiders safety Stuart Schweigert.
Oh, I love Schweigert.
He'll be joining us at 8 o'clock.
Stuart is a good guy and a great follow, guys, on social media. So, and he knows his stuff, and he's funny as hell. So, and he's got a lot of stories. So stay tuned. I have always wanted Stuart to get back on it since the last time. It's been almost a year since Stuart's been on the show. So looking forward to getting Stuart on again. Well, that's it. We'll be back next week. Good night.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.